I spent 10 years learning to trade stocks, only to become a fund manager on the exact day my parents blew up their account and prepared to jump. Yet, watching this, I did not freeze in fear. I burst out laughing. I had waited over 20 years for this exact moment, though everyone else thought I had completely lost my mind. My colleagues thought the shock of my parents jumping had driven me crazy. What they did not know was that the soul inside me had just changed. I was a traveler from 20 years in the future. In my original timeline, my parents' Hong Kong stocks collapsed today, and unable to take the pressure, they leapt from this very roof. But they did not know that 48 hours later, those same stocks would bottom out and surge 7,000 points to a historic high. That tragedy became my deepest regret. Even after I became the world's greatest trading legend, worth hundreds of billions, this painful memory still tortured me in the quiet hours of the night. Then, the impossible happened. Just moments ago, I was pulled back in time to the very second my parents stood on that ledge. Instantly, I bolted toward the rooftop, desperate to save them. In my past life, after they jumped, I went home and spent years studying my father's financial analysis. I realized his strategy was absolutely right. But our greedy relatives, desperate to cut their own losses, froze his credit cards and spread vicious rumors so no one would lend him a dime. They stole his 48-hour window of hope. Remembering this, I pushed my body to its absolute limit, sprinting up the stairs. I burst onto the roof. Seeing my father holding my mother's hand, ready to plunge, I screamed, "Dad!" They spun around, their eyes filled with deep shame. "Xiao Sun," my father choked out. "I am so sorry. I ruined your life." Hearing those words, my heart hammered as I frantically replied, "You did nothing wrong, Dad. Your theory is right. Just hang on for 2 more days and the market will turn." They froze, but only for a second. "Xiao Shun." They cut off my margin funds. My father sighed. "Do not waste your breath. I cannot let you inherit millions in debt. Damn it." I had dreamed of returning to this day 1,000 times, but I never expected that even with a second chance, my father's spirit would be so utterly broken. Nothing I said could change his mind. There was only one shot at this. I pulled out my BB pager and roared at him. "I have a way to cover the margin." Hearing my words, my parents froze on the spot. It was 1998. In the wake of the Asian financial crisis, Hong Kong's stock market was heavily damaged. Its financial landscape shattered. Soros, the god of investing, had seen through Asia's financial system. He used massive capital to short the market, pulling in billions of dollars. That is standard textbook history. But my research proved that this only happened because the mainland lacked solid investment channels, leaving a temporary loophole for Soros to exploit. Fighting against the clock, I pleaded with him. "Dad, look at this news. Back on August 8th, officials announced they would inject massive liquidity to protect Hong Kong stocks. If we can just survive the next 48 hours, the market will skyrocket." My father frowned, deeply skeptical. "Is that even possible?" The reason why? The market collapsed precisely because the government cannot bail it out. Doing so would cause hyperinflation and crash the entire national economy. Seeing his doubt, I pressed on. "Dad, listen to me. I have analyzed the macroeconomic landscape. The state has no choice but to step in. Foreign capital has dried up, leaving Hong Kong as our only financial gateway. To survive, the government is printing money and funding massive infrastructure projects. Dad, you are a professional trader. You know exactly what that is. It is a massive long position. It means buying up key assets that do not pay off immediately but secure a sustainable economic lifeline for the future. Since the government is going long to protect its infrastructure investments, they cannot let their only financial gateway collapse. They will rescue the market." Somehow, Shen Shun's father, a veteran trader of 30 years, found himself believing his son's analysis over his own experience. After all, finance is always driven by politics. "But Dad, do not worry about the margin money anymore," Shen Zun said. Hesitating for a brief second, he gritted his teeth. "I joined a securities firm. My boss trusted my skills and gave me access to a corporate account loaded with $45 million. You know what that means." "What?" His father gasped, frozen on the spot as if struck by lightning. Every securities firm is governed by a board and regulatory commission. To make quick cash, the board often sets up private corporate accounts, using insider tips to skim profits from the market. It was highly illegal trading, and the money had to be handled with extreme caution. "Xiao Shun, you cannot touch that money," his father cried in sheer terror. "If they find out, they will destroy you." But Shen Shun refused to back down. Gritting his teeth, he hissed, "Dad, if you want me to survive, give me 48 hours. Give me your account. Give me your private account. Let me turn this around. But was a comeback even possible? His father had lost $2 million and needed $4.5 million more just to cover the margin. If Shen Zun embezzled corporate funds and lost, the fallout would be catastrophic. Staring into his son's cold, unwavering eyes, his father knew he was not joking. He guided his weeping wife off the ledge, his hands trembling as he handed over his account number, password, and ID. Xiao Shun, if you lose this, we all jump together. Shen Shun replied coldly, we will not lose. In his previous life as a legendary financial tycoon, he had lived by one rule in the market: opportunity only knocks once. No matter how brilliant your mind, if you miss that single window, you lose everything in a heartbeat. Would you bet your life on your own theory? This was a high-stakes gamble between instant, unimaginable wealth and absolute ruin. Countless desperate retail investors had thrown their life savings into this burning market, believing they would win, only to be crushed and sent home empty-handed. Shen Shun turned and rushed away. Watching his determined back, his mother collapsed onto the floor, weeping hysterically. This is your fault. You dragged our son into this mess, you old bastard. Meanwhile, Shen Shun sprinted back to his desk at Yuan House Securities. His manager, Boss An, spotted him, his face twisting in disgust. You actually did not jump? You are millions in debt. Your life is ruined, and you still think you can make a comeback? You would be better off dead. He ordered everyone back to work, but a colleague named Evan noticed Shen Shun frantically typing away on his computer. Did his family still have money? Evan crept closer to investigate. Shen Shun forced himself to remain calm, took a deep, shaky breath, logged into the corporate account, and began transferring funds directly into his father's private account. He bypassed security and moved $4.5 million. It was a massive financial gamble, a point of no return. Even with his future knowledge that the market would rebound in 48 hours, sweat poured down his neck. He was playing with fire, and his colleague Evan was watching his every move. With years of trading experience, Evan knew exactly what a margin call looked like. But Shen Shun did not stop. After staring at the glowing screen for 10 minutes, his eyes flared with reckless ambition, and he logged back into the corporate system. Sensing something was off, Evan slowly walked over. But Shen Shun was locked in, staring at the screen, as a dangerous idea took root in his mind. Leverage. In this game, leverage was the ultimate drug, capable of multiplying returns. He decided to risk all $40 million. With 2 rapid keystrokes, Shen Shun watched the entire $45 million drain from the company account. He exhaled slowly, feeling the rush of adrenaline he had not felt since his past life. A mad plan seized him. He had one shot to pull this off. If he could just survive the next 48 hours, he would catch the exact bottom of the crash and tear a massive chunk of flesh out of Soros. Once the transaction cleared, he logged off and sprinted out of the building. Even an idiot could see he was fleeing. What the hell did he just do? Did he steal company money? Evan was baffled. A low-level trader should not have had access to corporate assets. But the computer terminals of this era had no way to wipe log files. Evan opened the system history and saw the transfer records. Evan's knees buckled. He nearly collapsed. He actually cleaned out President Yang's private slush fund. That night, Shen Shun ran through the neon-lit streets of Beihai. He knew Yang Dong, the ruthless chairman of Yuan House Securities, would be hunting him down, ready to skin him alive. But running was not enough. He ducked into a convenience store, focused his mind, and drafted a detailed 2,000-word proposal on A4 paper, faxing it straight to the chairman's office. Then, he called his childhood best friend. The moment the line connected, a voice screamed, "Xiao Shun, are you insane? Did you steal Yang Dong's money?" Wang Yu had received a frantic pager alert earlier and had been waiting anxiously. His father was actually Yang Dong's primary business partner, and the one who had gotten Shen Zun the job at Yuanhao. "I am sorry, brother," Shen Shun whispered. "I put you in a terrible position." "Shut up, Wang," Yu snapped. They had been inseparable since childhood, closer than blood brothers. "Do you have cash? A place to stay? I can give you an address to hide out." Hearing his friend's loyalty, a wave of warmth washed over him. In his previous life's darkest hours, this wealthy kid had funded his entire survival without asking for a dime. Money and status meant nothing to Wang Yu. Only loyalty did. "I actually need to borrow a massive sum," Shen Shun said. "No shit, that is what I am trying to do," Wang Yu cursed. "I have some cash left in my account." Shen Shun's gaze sharpened, focused like a predator closing in on its prey. "Brother, I know your late father left you $5 million in a villa. Mortgaged the villa for $7 million. Lend me all $12 million. "What?" Wang Yu gasped. "Are you insane? I do not even have $1 million in liquid cash." "Trust me," Shen Shun pressed. knowing time was running out. Do this, and I guarantee you will be rich for life. I have to go. Call you tomorrow. Before his friend could argue, he hung up. He cut the line and immediately dialed Yang Dong's private office. Inside the chairman's office, an anxious, middle-aged man sat alongside a famous economist. He snatched up the ringing receiver and roared, "Shen Zun, you absolute bastard! How dare you touch my money?" The chairman stood up, trembling with rage. If the board discovered $45 million had vanished, he would be ruined. The fund was entirely off the books. President Yang, there was only 20 million in that account when you gave it to me. I grew it to 45 million, Shen Zun replied smoothly. Earned 45 million? Yang Dong screamed, his eyes bloodshot. If my board had not backed you with $200 million and fed you inside information, you would have made nothing. He was right. With that kind of capital and leverage, any competent trader could have made the same profit. But I am offering you a chance to multiply your net worth tenfold, Shen Zun's icy voice replied through the receiver. Leave me alone for 48 hours. Are you completely insane? Yang Dong roared, rubbing his temples in agony as he collapsed into his chair. You put it into Hong Kong stocks. You idiot, why not the Japanese market? If Shen Zun had traded Japanese equities, Yang Dong could have used his leverage to recover at least 10 million. But with Hong Kong collapsing, he risked losing every single penny. I sent you my thesis, Shen Zun said calmly. It outlines exactly how we both strike it rich. Go to hell! Yang Dong slammed the receiver down, screaming, I will hunt you down and kill you within 24 hours, you piece of trash. Yet as silence reclaimed the office, he collapsed back, burying his face in his hands. On his desk lay the freshly printed facts. He had no energy to read a piece of garbage. Here, look at this, Yang Dong growled, tossing the papers to the economist, a prestigious Cambridge professor named Zhang Kang. Do not worry, President Yang. I will help you salvage whatever capital we can, Zhang Kang replied, standing up. But as he took the facts and read it, his eyes went wide. His emotions were on a wild roller coaster, completely shocked to his core. How is it? Yang Dong took a sip of water, trying to calm his racing heart. After a brief pause, Zhang Kang stared straight at Yang Dong and swallowed hard. You need to double down on Liang Yipu. Yang Dong spat his water right out. Are you insane? You are all crazy. He felt like he was trapped in a nightmare. Mr. Yang, I am not joking. Just read this. Zhang Kang rushed to hand him the facts. Just hearing Shen Zun's name made Yang Dong wish he could summon the king of hell to drag the kid down to the 18th level of hell. Getting him to look at this paper summary was nearly impossible. Kyushu Economic Report for the next 10 years. By Shen Zun. Damn. He is cocky, Yang Dong cursed. As a powerful board member who once managed billions of dollars, Yang Dong had survived every major financial storm imaginable. Yet, as his eyes scanned this paper, his expression completely changed. He read it a second time. In this brilliant summary, Shen Zun had perfectly predicted Kyushu's bailout policies, concluding it was a once-in-a-century opportunity. Elder Zhang, what do you think? Yang Dong sobered up instantly, completely torn. This brief summary easily beat out countless long-winded academic papers and reports. Zhang Kang rubbed his chin, his brow furrowed deep in thought. Was this really written by a kid in his early 20s? I honestly cannot believe a young rookie wrote this. It is at the level of a top-tier academician. An academician! In the 1990s, even a regular professor was someone a big shot like Yang Dong highly respected. An academician was a living legend. Elder Zhang, do you mean we should really keep buying? Yang Dong was utterly stunned. Zhang Kang pondered for a long time but could not find an answer. Finally, he sighed. I am out of my depth. The author of this report has revolutionary, timeless insights. You can only find the answer by asking him directly. At dawn, Shen Zun, who had been hiding in the bushes outside his house all night, heard footsteps. He snapped his eyes open. A fat man wearing a gold chain was leading 8 thugs straight toward his family's villa. All right, boys, don't smash the furniture. Just beat him up. Make sure we grab that property deed. Shen Yuan. It was that absolute bastard. Shen Zun stared at him, his eyes burning red with a murderous rage. In his past life, after his father died, Shen Yuan used a forge to seize their family villa. In reality, he had only lent them 1 million, yet the villa was worth several times that. More importantly, the estate sat on highly valuable commercial land. After his father passed, that greedy scoundrel made millions from this plot of land. Shen Zun grit his teeth. That parasite only lent them cash to steal their land. Sometimes, relatives are far more ruthless than total strangers. But Shen Zun could not show himself yet. He remembered that Shen Yuan always drove here. and the man had a strict rule. He never trusted anyone, not even his own daughter. He kept all the company seals and financial documents in his car, locked inside a combination safe. Shen Yuan, this is payback for my past life. But after tomorrow, I will give you one last chance, Shen Sun thought, his eyes narrowing with icy resolve. If you still have a shred of conscience, I will leave you with half. As Shen Yuan and his thugs marched arrogantly into the villa, Shen Zun pulled a piece of steel wire from his pocket and bolted toward the Buick. In his past life, a desperate and broken Shen Sun, just to survive, had worked as a waiter, a truck driver, and everything in between. Those brutal, bottom-of-the-barrel struggles had seeped into his blood, forging sharp survival instincts. With a soft click, using nothing but a thin steel wire, Shen Shun popped the lock on Shen Yuan's car door. Inside sat a locked metal lockbox. Shen Shun grinned, but then froze when he noticed a young girl in the back seat, staring right at him. "Cousin?" Shen Shun gasped. She was an elegant, breathtaking girl in a green dress, nearly 5'7", with flowing dark hair, eyes like crescent moons, skin pale as milk, and an incredibly pure grace. "Cousin, I have got some business to handle. You might have to tag along," Shen Shun said, sliding into the driver's seat. Shen Qian stared in shock, then nudged his shoulder. "What are you doing? If my dad finds out you stole his car, you are dead." "Bullshit. He wouldn't dare touch me," Shen Shun scoffed. "He is all talk." Shen Qian sat frozen, utterly lost. Her cousin felt completely different today. He used to be quiet, obsessed only with studying finance, but today he was bold, confident, and incredibly masculine. "Cousin, I will drive you back, actually, to your mom's place. Is she still in Beihai?" Without waiting for an answer, Shen Zun slammed the door, started the Buick, and sped away, leaving Shen Qian staring in total awe. "Hey, didn't Uncle take our family's money? I'm just here to win it back," Shen Shun said, patting the lockbox. "No way," Shen Qian sighed. "Even I don't know the password." Before she could finish, Shen Sun casually reached out and tapped 4 fours on the keypad. The lockbox popped open instantly. "How did you do that?" Shen Qian gasped, dumbfounded. Without looking at her, Shen Sun steered the car toward the Gangcheng suburbs. "This isn't a normal lock. You have to press the code while starting the engine." Shen Qian's jaw dropped. She was Shen Yuan's own daughter, and even she was kept in the dark. "Enough talk," Shen Shun muttered. "I am meeting a friend. Just stick with me today. I will buy you a great meal, but you must keep everything you see a secret. Deal?" Overwhelmed, Shen Qian meekly nodded, keeping her eyes locked onto his side profile. Shortly after, they arrived in the Gangcheng New District. "Yao, what is the status on your end?" Shen Shun dialed from a secluded public phone booth. Suddenly, a tense voice hissed from behind him. "Damn it! Be careful! Can you keep it down?" "Wang Yao." Shen Shun spun around to see a tall man in a baseball cap holding a massive mobile phone. "Wait, you are calling me from a brick phone?" Shen Shun asked. "Duh," Wang Yao hissed. "My dad warned me to keep a low profile. But look, whatever you do not put this cash into the stock market. That is exactly where it is going," Shen Sun replied flatly. "Are you crazy?" Wang Yao hissed, frantically scanning their surroundings. "Man, I'm serious. Getting this money was incredibly difficult. I forced my dad's accountant to authorize this withdrawal. I have to go into hiding now." "How much did you get?" Shen Shun asked. "Over 8 million, Wang Yao muttered. "Pale. I literally drugged my dad with sleeping pills. He is going to skin me alive when he wakes up." It was less than he wanted, but 8 million was enough to kickstart half of his master plan. Seeing his friend's Mercedes parked nearby, Shen Shun patted his shoulder and walked to the trunk. "You can't run yet. I need one more favor." "What? Do you want me dead?" "My old man will literally murder me," Wang Yao groaned, punching his shoulder. Shen Zun ignored the complaint, pulling 2 duffel bags stuffed with cash out of the trunk. "Relax. You are his flesh and blood," Shen Sun said coolly. "I am making a massive play. Once this succeeds, we will have enough cash to live like kings anywhere on Earth. We only have 30 hours. Help me hire a few accountants, buy a shell company, and open a trading account. Today, I am pulling in another 5 million, and we will split the 13 million across those accounts." Staring at Shen Sun, Wang Yao felt like his childhood friend had suddenly become a total stranger. "I am being completely honest with you. If we lose this 8 million, my dad's business is finished," Wang Yao whispered, his voice trembling. This cash was his family's entire life support. "It won't fail," Shen Sun said, pulling him along. "Let's move. I will call your dad in a bit and deliver him a massive gift." Meanwhile, in Changping village, an elegant, middle-aged man wearing gold-rimmed glasses was searching high and low for Shen Shun's parents. Finally, with the help of his driver, he tracked Father Shen down to a modest rural house. This was old Wang Yao's father. When Shen Shun's parents learned their son had convinced Wang Yao to steal $8 million, they plummeted into absolute despair. "This is a sin," Mother Shen cried, sobbing hysterically as she pounded her husband's shoulder. "How did I marry a man like you? How will we ever face the Wang family now?" Father Wang, though furious, managed to keep his composure and tried to calm them down. "Don't cry. My idiot son actually drugged me with sleeping pills. Honestly, I always knew he would do something crazy." Wang Father Shen wept. Father Wang stared at his old friend. "Stop crying. We served in the military together. But honestly, something about this feels strange. Your younger brother, Shen Yuan, already called the police. Apparently, his daughter went missing with Shen Sun too, but your boy doesn't seem like a reckless thug. Old Shen, is that financial formula you developed actually legit?" "It is," Father Shen insisted. Father Wang sighed. "If my useless son had even 1/10 of Shen Shun's courage, I would never have to worry again." Father Wang was far more resilient than Father Shen. He stared at his old friend, puzzled. "Old Shen, has your boy lost his mind? I just got a call from my brat. Shen Zun told him to give him 24 hours to triple the money. He also told me to buy crude oil, claiming the government would come begging to borrow it. Have you heard anything about this? Oil futures?" Father Shen muttered. Back then, following the US model, oil-backed futures were just starting to emerge in the 1990s. Shen Shun is saying that during a government bailout, they cannot just print cash. They will likely absorb liquidity through private futures. Father Shen stroked his chin. Father Wang frowned, confused. "But wouldn't we lose a fortune doing that?" "Not at all," Father Shen replied, trying to stay calm. "Normally, only government insiders can buy treasury bonds, but I bet they will offer bonds in exchange and in massive amounts. If you hold on to those, they will serve as incredible collateral for your business." "Holy shit, are you serious?" Hearing this complex analysis, Father Wang was stunned. He could not tell if things would actually play out that way. But experience counts. As a major real estate mogul, a temporary cash squeeze was never going to bankrupt him. He just kept his son in the dark. "Old Shen, I still have 2 million liquid. I wanted to bail you out, but it won't cover your massive debt. How about this? Those old board members will cause trouble anyway, so I might as well buy oil futures. If the government actually offers bonds, I will be covered." Shortly after, using Shen Yuan's stolen seals, IDs, and tax documents, Shen Shun successfully exploited a major loophole in the banking system. Through rapid bond trades, he withdrew $5 million in cash. This was Shen Yuan's entire life savings, including money belonging to his partners. When Shen Yuan realized his cash was gone, he would certainly explode with rage and want to skin Shen Sun alive. Back in the motel room, Wang Yao sat staring infatuatedly at the beautiful Shen Qian. He only snapped out of it when Shen Shun kicked the door open, staring at the 4 duffel bags piled on the floor. "Holy crap, Sun. I have never seen this much money in my entire life. This has to be over 10 million. Pathetic." Shen Shun smirked, slapping his arm before handing a water bottle to Shen Qian. "Thanks," she whispered. "Did you steal this money from my dad?" Shen Qian asked softly. "Yes," Shen Sun replied flatly. "But don't worry. Today, I am going to turn this cash into 10 times its value. Your dad will be thrilled." "Zun, are you absolutely sure about this?" Wang Yao muda. "Boss's account to invest 45 million? Why don't we just run? We could travel the world with this cash and only return when we are broke. My dad is resourceful. He will rebuild." "Shut up," Shen Sun snapped, his expression turning cold and dead serious. "You have." It had been a long time since he last ran a major trade, especially after his famous takeover of Bogushi's $10 billion assets. Reborn in this life, he wanted to redeem past regrets and felt a deep sense of duty. He estimated his boss's money could bring back over 700 million, but most of it is meant for him. At most, it would keep him out of prison and throw 10 or 20 million his way. That is incredibly shady. Wang Yu cut in. "Shady my foot." Shen Sun rolled his eyes. "I got this money secretly. Staying out of jail is a win." Still, Wang Yu could not understand his real goal. "Bro, why make such a huge scene? Just to grab some cash and run? The risk is way too high." "Nonsense," Shen Shun muttered, thinking of Soros. As a trader who lived through that financial storm in his past life, he could never forget the aftermath. Countless ordinary people standing on rooftops at night. Every brokerage was filled with endless curses and wailing. Even though the mainland rescue came quickly, the Hong Kong stock market, as the sole financial outlet at this stage, was of critical importance. Not a single cent could flow into foreign pockets. Otherwise, thousands would lose their jobs or jump. Zun, just tell me what to do. Wang Yu fell backward onto the bed, stretching lazily. I have set up everything. 7 shell companies are ready for whatever you need. Shen Shun looked over at Shen Qian. Sister Qian, you studied financial management, right? Yes. Good. Shen Shun rubbed his neck, a cold light in his eyes. In 8 hours, a massive foreign force will hit the Hong Kong market. We must trace their cash flow and buy the bottom at the same time. If they buy, we match them. Let's make them bleed a little. We are not letting them take this cash easily. Hearing this, Wang Yu suddenly got excited. It sounded like a personal grudge. As the seconds ticked away, countless people in Beihai were now watching the Hong Kong market. In the Yuan House Securities Office, Yang Dong held his giant mobile phone, staring at the screen, hesitating whether to throw in his remaining 200 million. In Changping Village, Wang Fu and Shen's father held their phones, waiting for updates. In the Shenyuan real estate office, after learning Shen Zun put the money into Hong Kong stocks, they could only wait helplessly, hoping he would turn things around and pay them back. Meanwhile, Evan refused to believe Shen Shun had any hope, yet still used his expertise to closely watch the market's movements. Everyone's expectations and hopes rested entirely on these final 24 hours. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away, a man in a sharp suit, surrounded by admiring financial giants, was transferring 40 into the Hong Kong accounts. My friends, let us look forward to the painful wails of the Chinese financial dinosaurs. Later, once Shen Shun taught Wang Yu how to track fund flows, Wang Yu sat before a makeshift computer and suddenly shook Shen Shun awake, yelling, "They are in! They are in!" Mingxi Shipbuilding stock price went up by 0.20, 0.3, and they are still buying. Shen Shun scrambled up. Under Shen Qian's calm gaze, he grabbed a bottle of water and leaned in to inspect. Perfect. That bastard Soros is setting his trap. He wants to quietly pour billions into every blue chip stock, and then let the junk stocks crash. Crash? Wang, you cut in. If they crash, how do they make any money? What do you know? Shen Shun rolled his eyes. The 90s Hong Kong market was wild and drove people crazy for a reason. It did not use macroeconomic controls, but worked like a reservoir. In a single pool, it is hard to tell the blue chips from the junk stocks. When the market booms, all boats rise. But there is always a day when the dam breaks. Once the junk stocks are completely dead, the capital in the blue chips keeps the market running, and everyone buys in. I get it. Wang Yu's eyes lit up. Good stocks skyrocket, and bad ones rise with the rebound. But actually, only professionals can tell them apart, right? Exactly. Shen Shun patted Wang Yu's shoulder. A rising tide lifts all boats. That is the golden rule here. Soon, as Wang Yu monitored the screen, Shen Qian sat down, her eyes darting from Zushi to forget the Hong Kong stocks. Check the mainland market, see if any massive funds are being pulled out. Shen Qian watched the whole process. Truth be told, she did not understand stocks. But strangely, Shen Zun had already listed dozens of company names. It was impossible to tell just by looking if these companies were blue chips or junk stocks, yet Shen Shun caught the suspicious funds every time, mapping them out perfectly. Their layout is brilliant, Shen Zun said, thrilled. Yao. Divide the cash among those 7 companies. Keep it even. Sister Qian, you handle their accounts. Buy them one by one based on our list of blue chips. Wait, Wang, you interjected. Won't we get caught? Caught my foot. Shen Shun smacked the back of his head, rolling his eyes. They have billions, we have 10 million. You think everyone is a supercomputer? How would they spot us? But then, Wang, you asked a critical question. What about your boss's 45 million? Where are you putting that? A sinister smile crept onto Shen Shun's face as he murmured, just wait until he gets in trouble and you will find out. After Wang Yu left, Shen Qian was flustered, making calls and keeping books, looking a bit lost. Can you handle it, Sister Qian? Shen Shun stepped closer. To stay comfortable by the bed, Shen Qian had her long legs bare. They were less than 10 centimeters apart. A sweet fragrance drifted into Shen Shun's nose. He stared, completely dazed. He had never noticed it before, but she was truly beautiful. I am all done, Shen Qian said, handing him a sheet of paper. What? Now it was Shen Shun's turn to be stunned. In his plan, to maximize firepower, he had to invest in 20 different stocks and adjust them in real time. This was the profit-maximizing model. But keeping these accounts straight was incredibly hard. deciding which stock to put more into and which to put less into to make it profitable, who carried more risk, or who had zero returns. These financial calculations were no secret, but they required immense judgment, experience, and what Shen Sun called computing power. Computing power was the brain's processing capacity. A person with exceptional computing power could simulate the entire market's movements in a short time. Looking at the sheets Shen Qian handed him, Shen Zun studied them closely and suddenly remembered something. "Does your dad forbid you from meeting other people?" Shen Qian nodded. "I remember your family lost a lot of money in business, right?" "Yes." Shen Qian looked straight into his eyes. "Was your family's wealth actually made by you through smart investments?" Hearing this, Shen Qian hesitated for a moment, then nodded shyly. Shen Shun was thrilled. He never imagined that a financial genius was right beside him. What did her ability mean? Top-tier computing power, matching the predictive power of a supercomputer. Once applied to the stock market, it would yield terrifying results, making it easy to earn hundreds of millions or even billions. "Okay, I see," Shen Shun said, suppressing his excitement. "Keep tracking Soros's money. I will contact Yuan House Securities and tell them to close the net." Shen Qian could not read any emotion on his face, so she naturally did not know just how terrifying her talent actually was. A moment later, when Shen Shun used Wang Yu's giant mobile phone to call Yang Dong answered with mixed emotions and said, "Is this Shen Shun? Hello? Speak to me? Is that you? In your account, there should still be money left, right?" Yang Dong was speechless. He recalled that 40 hours ago, Shen Shun was just a minor employee, his puppet. But now, their fates were bound together, and Shen Shun was an economics genius whom even Zhang Kang admired. "What do you want?" Yang Dong stammered. "You still want to use my money? In the next half hour, a large sum will go into Qin's mining group. I want you to dump all your capital in there. If you do," Shen Shun smiled, "we can stop those people from making billions." Yang Dong was completely dazed. "Those people? Who are they?" Leaving behind only that sentence, Shen Shun hung up, leaving Yang Dong standing there in a daze. Professor Zhang Kang, standing nearby, noticed this and turned pale upon hearing the details. "Yes, those people," Zhang Kang stood up in shock. "So that is how it is. I did not even notice there was another massive fund in our market." Looking at the clueless Yang Dong, Zhang Kang was filled with deep admiration. He dragged Yang Dong to the computer and said, "President Yang, haven't you realized that this drop and rebound of the Hong Kong stocks are entirely related to a foreign capital fund? This foreign capital is stripping our market and destroying it." "What?" Yang Dong looked closely. Under Zhang Kang's guidance, he finally spotted some clues, which threw him into deep shock. If Zhang Kang's theory was true, it meant Shen Shun's every move was not just for his parents or himself, but for Hong Kong. He was protecting the market, reclaiming as much cash as possible from the enemy, and keeping that wealth in national hands. Truly, every generation produces its geniuses. Zhang Kang's face flushed with excitement, his hands waving in delight. To have such a youth is the great fortune of Hong Kong. "President Yang, which department does this Shen Shun work in? I will call right now to arrange to put him in a high position in Hong Kong's economic department." Yang Dong was still in shock. He stared blankly for a moment, then remembered, he is not from Hong Kong. He is from the mainland, Beihai, I think. Meanwhile, in the hotel, along with Shen Shun's constant trading, Shen Qian successfully dispersed the 10 million in capital across various blue chips without anyone noticing. At the same time, a private corporate account transferred 200 million into the blue chip stock of Qin's mining group. Jun Wang, you leaned close to the screen, puzzled. "Why did you make your boss dump his money into this group? Do you know their executives?" Shen Sun shook his head. "Then why?" Wang Yu was stunned. Shen Sun's actions would make Qin's mining group one of the ultimate winners. Yet this winner did not even know Shen Shun. It was like getting a free pie from the sky. However, Shen Shun's eyes showed deep, quiet contemplation as he murmured, "Using this event to establish a solid blue-chip base for the mainland is better for Hong Kong's long-term stability." Wang Yu did not understand a thing, but Shen Qian beside him was somewhat confused. The mainland's stock market and Hong Kong's market were completely different. Put bluntly, no matter how much capital the mainland had, it could not match Hong Kong's scale as Asia's financial center. Why did Shen Sun care so much about the mainland? But before long, Wang Yu pointed at the computer screen and shouted in surprise, "It is moving! The stock prices are going up!" On the computer screen, the prices of the dozen or so stocks containing Shen Shun's funds began to climb steadily. Rising from $1 or $2 to $3 or $5 took only 10 minutes. This meant Soros had begun buying the bottom. The financial storm had officially begun. Let it rise, Shen Sun said calmly. But Wang Yu, who was usually indifferent to the stock market, suddenly began operating the computer frantically, telling Shen Qian to record the capital movements. Sister Qian, how much money have we made now? Only double, Shen Qian calculated. Since they had not formally entered the main play and only one stock was rising, it was just double. Wang Yu's mouth fell open. He was a rich heir who was not sensitive to money, but even he knew how crazy double was. That meant, in less than 24 hours since they arrived at the hotel, Shen Sun's invested assets had doubled, and that doubling took only 10 minutes. Oh my God! Wang Yu's face turned pale, his body trembling, feeling as though he was looking at a financial god. Miracles are made by our own. Just wait. I'll show you how big this gets. Shen Shun patted his shoulder, then ordered Shen Qian to dump 2 blue-chip stocks. The price, originally around $1, instantly plunged to 0.8. Isn't this just losing money? Wang Yu gasped, but Shen Shun remained cool. Sure enough, on the other side of the world, in a room filled with greedy men, a young operator stared at his screen. Mr. Soros, one of our blue chips has crashed to 0.8. Someone is dumping. Behind him, a middle-aged man walked over dismissively, barely glancing at the screen. Just a fool trying to cut losses with nowhere to run. Inject capital and drive the price back up. 5 minutes later, a miracle happened right before Wang Yu's eyes. The price rebounded from 0.8 to nearly $2, and it looked ready to climb even higher. What is happening? Shen Shun's expression was utterly mysterious as he patted Shen Qian's shoulder. Sister Qian, do you know what's happening? Shen Qian fell silent, then shook her head. Is the market wrong? A sharp glint flashed in Shen Sun's eyes. The stock market is just a game between people, because that old bastard Soros wants to use super leverage. He will swallow as many of these blue chips as he can, Shen Sun explained. When I dumped those shares, he realized retail investors still hold some, so he pushed the price up to lure us into selling more. What do we do now? Wang Yu panicked. If we keep going, we'll lose everything. We already lost some. Keep dumping, Shen Shun sneered. Set the price to $1. Minutes later, in Soros's room, the young operator noticed another anomaly. This time, he didn't need to report it because Soros was watching. They want to sell again? Trying to profit now that the price is up? Soros mocked. They always chase petty gains, focusing on small fry. Keep raising it. Let it hit 1.6 and let them sell. Raising the price meant Soros had to pump in more capital. Meanwhile, in front of Shen Shun, Shen Qian, and Wang Yu, the price hit 1.6. Wang Yu stared at the screen, ecstatic. Holy crap, we hit the jackpot. Zun, if we sell now, can we make a net profit of over 10 million? He was going wild. This quick play had generated over 10 million without doing anything but typing a few computer commands. In the 1990s, 10 million was a fortune. Even for a wealthy family like Wang Yu's, a top-tier Mercedes was only $1 million. In the mainland, a house was 50,000. Imagine how many they could buy. But as the mastermind behind it all, Shen Shun smiled mysteriously and asked Shen Qian, Sister Qian, do you know how to maximize profits here? Feeling the pressure, Shen Qian calculated on her notepad. If the price hits 6, retail investors will hear the news and cut losses. We take this chance to buy back the shares, right? Her answer was brilliant, but not the only option. Shen Shun's eyes locked onto the screen like a hungry wolf. Listen to me, we will run this pattern on the remaining stocks to drive all their prices up. Shen Qian didn't understand what he was planning, while Wang Yu felt a deep pang of regret. This was double the profit. Doing this repeatedly meant throwing away double the profits just to prop up prices. Did this make any sense? Meanwhile, in Soros's office, he was laughing out loud. Those fools from the mainland, they received the news and are cutting losses together. Let them dump whatever they want. We will buy it all. And let's put on a real show. Push the price straight to $2 so they don't hesitate to sell everything. As a financial master, Soros knew exactly what lay behind every market metric. The previous selling was clearly just retail investors testing the waters. Now, he wanted to squeeze them immediately, forcing them to liquidate their holdings completely. Sure enough, 20 minutes later, the young operator kept pumping in massive capital, eventually absorbing nearly $50 million in stocks. 50 million! In the motel, Wang Yu covered his eyes, unable to believe what he was seeing. He grabbed Shen Shun. Shun, that's enough. We've tripled our money. Let's pull out. Tripled in under an hour. Shen Shun knew very well that if he liquidated now, he would walk away with a net 50 million. After paying off his debts, if he invested the remaining 20 million into mainland real estate, he'd be a billionaire in 20 years, with absolutely zero risk. while comfortably collecting massive rental income. Yet, under Wang Yu's pleading gaze, Shen Shun remained completely unfazed. He coldly ordered, "Sister Qian, dump all this money into Qin Mining Group. Drive their price up to 3 or 4. What? Soon? Are you insane? Wang, you nearly cried. Making all that money just to pump Qin Mining stock? Wang Yu seriously suspected he was a spy sent by the mainland. At that moment, just as Shen Qian used all their assets to buy into Qin Mining, Yang Dong was also at work. A massive flow of $250 million inexplicably poured into Qin Mining, instantly driving its stock price from $0.6 to $4.8. Soros's face darkened as he slammed the table. He's playing me. At this point, 4 distinct streams of capital had flooded into Qin Mining. One was Shen Shun's, totaling $65 million. Another was Yang Dong's private stash of $200 million. Then there was Qin Mining's own $500 million used to manipulate retail investors. Finally, Soros's pre-positioned $200 million. A grand total of $965 million, nearly $1 billion flooded into the slumping market, making Qin Mining the only blue-chip stock soaring wildly, multiplying its price tenfold. Mr. Soros, Qin Mining is still climbing. It's at 5.8, now 6.1. Sir, Qin Mining's stock has surged tenfold. If we don't harvest now, we'll lose everything. Damn it! Soros slammed his desk. He had originally planned to use a link chain strategy, spreading billions across various blue chips to harvest tens of billions in profits. This meant he had a heavy position in every major blue chip. But for Qin Mining, out of the nearly $1 billion total capital, he only provided $200 million. Even with a tenfold surge, the lion's share belonged to others. And this would trigger a massive chain reaction. Mr. Soros, other stock prices are rising. They are spinning out of control. Sir, another stock just hit $3. The Hang Seng Index has crossed 3,500. Slamming echoed through the office. Only at that moment did he realize he had been played brutally. Repeating the name Qin Mining Group, his face turned the color of raw liver. He couldn't believe someone else in the world understood the market this well and acted even faster. This guy disguised himself as a retail investor, read my play, and lured me into a trap. Soros felt dizzy. He had actually slipped up here. As a brilliant mind who drained British reserves in the 70s and harvested billions in Asia during the 80s, he had never lost to anyone. He never expected to be toyed with like a puppet, and this kid was just a corporate trader. Since he understood these mechanisms, he could harvest an entire nation's stock market just like him. But why? It defied all logic. Under the operator's urgent prompts, he had to make a move. By the way, make a call. Find out who the trader for the mainland's Qin Mining Group is. Meanwhile, as the market kept surging, the 3 in the room holding only Qin Mining shares showed very different reactions. Wang Yu was dejected, feeling Shen Shun had just thrown away a risk-free $50 million. Shen Shun, completely unbothered, massaged Shen Qian's shoulders while explaining the core principles of the stock market to her. Shen Qian was frustrated. She couldn't understand how her cousin suddenly seemed 10 years older, treating her like a child. Worse, his theories completely shattered every traditional economic concept she had ever learned. Shortly after, Shen Shun switched on the television. On the Hong Kong Financial Channel, a handsome news anchor appeared on screen, sweating profusely and speaking with sheer excitement. Dear citizens, after 90 minutes of extreme market volatility, the Hang Seng Index has broken through 4,000. Simultaneously, back in Chongping Village, the wealthy heads of the Shen and Wang families listened to the radio. The government announced intervention. Millions crowded outside exchange halls as the Hang Seng broke 4,500. Crowds cheered, forcing authorities to deploy fire trucks. Following a massive $2 billion government cash injection into Qin Mining, shares became impossible to buy. The index kept soaring, nearing 6,000. Dizzy with shock, Wang Yu joined the frantic crowd glued to the television. He could hear gasps and cheers erupting from neighbors upstairs and downstairs, everyone chanting the same target, 7,000. Break it. Wang Yu was completely hooked now. Despite knowing next to nothing about trading, his family's conglomerate was part of the market. Now, he felt the direct thrill of stock market gains. Every cheer, every uptick, even a mere 100-point rise in the Hang Seng Index meant millions flooding into their pockets. This station announces that the Hang Seng Index has officially breached the 7,000 mark. As the bloodshot-eyed anchor yelled, Wang Yu threw his arms around Shen Sun, nearly fainting with joy. Shen Zun pushed him back, watching his hysterical and borderline delirious state. He calmly commanded Shen Qian, Keep tracking the funds. I want to know exactly how much cash he drained from the Hong Kong market and which corporations he took it from. Shen Qian nodded. Behind him, Wang Yu grabbed his sleeve, shouting with wild excitement. 7,000 points. Zun, do you have any idea how much we made? Hundreds of millions. No, billions. According to Shen Qian's calculations, even though Shen Sun had shifted their capital into the heavily backed Qin Mining, he already knew the mainland authorities would choose to back state-owned enterprises, like Qin Mining. The other blue chips were just bait. He lacked the capital to fight Soros across the entire board. So from the very start, he never intended to lose anything. While it seemed like the Qin Mining position wouldn't yield much, it actually turned out to be the gold mine. How much is Qin Mining trading at now? Shen Sun asked cautiously. Shen Qian quickly checked. 1.28 million. Time to cash out. Shen Sun's face was pale now, lacking his earlier intensity. Wang Yu, confused by Shen Sun's silence toward him, turned to Shen Qian. Sister Qian, how much did we make? Shen Shun finally spoke up, answering, around 4 billion. Wang Yu's eyes widened as his mind raced like he had gone completely mad. My dad couldn't make 4 billion in 10 lifetimes. Zun, we are rich. I can never spend 4 billion. Enough. With a low roar, Shen Sun ripped open a bottle of mineral water and splashed it all over Wang Yu's face. Shun, what is wrong with you? Wang Yu spluttered, wiping the water from his face as he calmed down. Meanwhile, Shen Shun pulled out a notebook and started calculating. How much did Shen Qian make this time? Has she sold everything? Shen Qian sighed helplessly. 23 billion in total. Wang Yu gasped. That guy is insane. Sweeping up 23 billion? Just how much capital did he have? Shen Shun breathed a sigh of relief, but his brow remained furrowed. More than 20 billion was nothing to a tycoon like him, but Hong Kong's manufacturing sector must be totally ruined. Shen Shun quickly checked the status of the city's top 10 manufacturing conglomerates. The results were devastating. Every single one was bankrupt. Wang Yu gasped, terror gripping him. Jun, what about my dad's real estate group? Is it bankrupt too? Wang Yu asked, trembling. Facing the computer screen with a grim expression, Shen Shun nodded. Yes, bankrupt. But I will give you your family's share. It is enough to open another one, even 10 more. Oh my God, Wang Yu muttered, the reality finally sinking in. It was not just the Wang family. Shen Shun's father's real estate company had also collapsed in an instant. Yet, real estate developers were the lucky ones. Being at the end of the supply chain, they were barely hit. The upstream giants in timber, construction, and manufacturing were the ones truly ruined. My second uncle's shipyard is bankrupt, and even my uncle's clothing conglomerate. Zun, why are clothing brands suffering too? I thought this was only about real estate. Wang Yu stared at the computer screen, his face turning pale. He began madly searching for any news about his relatives' companies. After digging up info on every business owned by his friends and family, he found a terrifying pattern. This makes no sense. Wang Yu threw his hands up, completely bewildered. Even my ex-girlfriend's family company went under. They are not even listed. How is this possible? Why wouldn't it be? Shen Shun asked, calmly closing the laptop. In Wang Yu's eyes, Shen Zun now radiated the quiet authority of a powerful leader who knew the Hong Kong market inside and out. I told you before, other than blue chips, the Hong Kong stock market is full of trash. And that trash is not just limited to listed companies. Do you remember those shell companies I had you set up? Hearing this, Wang Yu's eyes lit up in sudden realization. Of course, in this era of rampant speculation and greed, there were 1,000 ways to package unlisted, private businesses and tie them directly to listed junk stocks. We only made 20-odd billion. But behind that figure lies a loss of hundreds of billions in real wealth. That money comes from every corner of society, hurting ordinary people. After this, the Hong Kong economy is going to take a devastating hit. Shen Shun spoke with a heavy, serious tone. For a business like yours that survived, you will hold a temporary monopoly. But that also means bearing more responsibility to help others in your industry rebuild. Meanwhile, in a dark corner far away, far from the bewildered Wang Yu, another man was staring intensely at a computer screen. Surrounded by cheering traders, his bloodshot eyes were glued to the monitor. Incredible! We made 20 billion. In a single day, we pocketed billions of dollars with almost zero risk. The operators popped champagne bottles and whistled loudly, celebrating as if it were Christmas morning. But amid the roaring celebration, he slammed his fist onto the table, screaming hysterically. Only 20 billion? I lost nearly 40 billion. Damn Chinese. Instantly, the festive atmosphere evaporated, and the entire office fell dead silent as the terrified operators stared at each other. The traders exchanged uneasy glances, clueless as to why he was so furious. He barked out another question. Have you identified the mastermind behind Shin's mining group? Give me a name. Trembling, an analyst handed over a folder. The man behind them is a trader named Wang Wu. He graduated from Cambridge with an economics degree, but he has only managed $10 million accounts. The boss snatched the folder, glaring at the headshot inside. Gritting his teeth, he muttered, "A Chinese amateur." He felt utterly humiliated. How could a simple Cambridge graduate beat him? How could an ordinary Chinese student make him lose this badly? Renowned PhDs and professors practically treated him like a god, begging for his financial wisdom. This fierce battle in Hong Kong had convinced him that he was fighting one of the world's greatest minds. But instead, his opponent was just a student who had never even touched a $100 million fund. Contact our financial allies immediately and recruit this man, he snarled, consumed by rage and humiliation. I want to see exactly how he managed to break my stranglehold on the Hong Kong market. Meanwhile, Wang Yu had no idea that a legendary titan of finance had already locked onto him, setting off a chain of events that would soon bring ruin upon him. That night, Changping Village was anything but quiet. Old Shen, what are we drinking next? I will have my assistant fetch it. Tonight, we drink until we drop. Near the rundown entrance of the village, Father Shen and Father Wang threw a massive banquet for hundreds of locals. They raised their glasses, yelling joyfully one second, then weeping like madmen the next. The watching villagers seriously wondered if they had lost their minds. But who could guess that in the last 12 hours, both men had survived a wild roller coaster. Father Shen had been on the verge of jumping off a building before his son talked him down. Now, his economic theories had cleaned up the Hong Kong market, turning his family into multimillionaires. As for Wang Fugui, he had faced total bankruptcy. But knowing his son had loaned Shen Sun 10 million, their payout now would easily exceed 1 billion yuan. Old Shen, I always knew your boy was destined for greatness, unlike my useless son. The completely wasted Father Wang did not seem worried at all that Shen Shun might run off with the cash. In fact, even in Shen Shun's past life, Father Wang had stepped up to care for him after his father passed. He always believed in the boy. Don't say that. My son only succeeded because of your family's help, Father Shen replied with deep guilt. Deep down, he knew he had put his son in terrible danger. If his theories had failed, the consequences would have been catastrophic. Forget dying a monster like Yang Dong would have made the entire Shen family regret ever being born. They could have been brutally tortured. Even now, Father Shen was visibly shaking. Just then, Mother Shen came running over from the distance, holding Father Wang's heavy brick phone. Old Wang, your son is on the line, she gasped anxiously. Can you ask him how Zun is doing? Father Wang's eyes lit up as he grabbed the phone. He was ready to scream at the brat for drugging his drinks earlier, but before he could say a word, a panicked voice cried out from the receiver. Dad, help! Yang Dong took Shen Sun. What? Father Wang gasped, jumping up. He stood up in utter disbelief. Did that bastard Yang Dong steal all your money? No, Wang. You gasped, breathing heavily over the line as if he had been running for his life. We made 4 billion. Zun gave me a card with 1.5 billion as our share. He also wants you to invest 1 billion in mainland real estate. But forget that, Dad. You have to save Zun right now before Yang Dong kills him. With that, Wang Yu hung up. You stupid brat, Wang Fugi cursed. But when he turned around, he saw Father Shen's face was completely bloodless. In the late 90s, those bulky brick phones offered zero privacy, so everyone had heard the panic clearly. Terribly shaken, Mother Shen clutched Father Wang's sleeve, begging him to save her son, before suddenly clutching her chest and collapsing onto the grass with a heavy thud. Right then, Father Wang's brick phone rang again. My dear, Father Shen cried out, cradling his unconscious wife. Furious, Father Wang barked into the receiver. Who the hell is this now? A cold, professional voice replied from the other end. Mr. Wang, this is the China Financial Monitoring Center. I am team leader Long Qi. Can you contact Shen Shun? Hearing that name, Father Wang went pale. As a prominent businessman, he knew exactly who these people were. After all, this was 1998, and the authority of the Financial Monitoring Center was absolute across the region. The center was created specifically to oversee the Hong Kong stock market. Ever since the handover in '97, Beijing maintained a careful watch. To keep the market stable, they usually only seized black market funds and dirty assets, rarely stepping in to interfere with normal trading. But now, a high-level state agency was calling him directly. Father Wang's throat went dry with fear. Swallowing hard, he forced himself to stay calm. Hello, Team Leader Long. I just heard from my son. Shen Shun has been abducted by Yang Dong of the Yuanhao group. Can your agency help us track him down? Before he could finish, the line went dead. Surrounded by the noisy, joyful banquet, a heavy, suffocating silence settled over both fathers. Snapping out of it, Father Wang yelled for his assistant to get Mother Shen to the hospital immediately. Meanwhile, in the dark, a blindfolded Shen Shun listened to the fading sound of city traffic. The car soon pulled into a quiet, secluded area. He kept a firm grip on the small, trembling hand beside him. He knew it belonged to his cousin, Shen Qian, who was terrified. Cousin, she whispered softly, shut up, or I will kill you right here. A guard snapped brutally. Shen Shun took a quiet breath. Just hours ago, right after dividing the cash with Wang Yu, a group of armed thugs had stormed his motel room and grabbed him. Shen Qian could have easily run away. But to protect him, the stubborn girl had yelled out that she was his cousin, forcing the kidnappers to take her too. Listening closely to the shifting road noise, Shen soon figured they had been driven from Liwan to the wealthy, quiet district of Kowloon. Clearly, Yang Dong was behind this. 10 minutes later, the car stopped outside a massive luxury estate. The guards hauled them out and shoved them inside. The moment they ripped the blindfold off Shen Zun's face, he found himself standing in a lavish, gold-gilded living room. Sitting on the sofa was Yang Dong, rubbing his hands together in pure excitement. Beside him sat an older tycoon in an expensive Italian suit. The moment Shen Sun saw him, his chest tightened. In his past life, he had seen this face on television 1,000 times. He was the biggest developer in Hong Kong, a real estate mogul named Huang Haitao. The others in the room were his powerful associates, including a retail tycoon from Liwan and a shipping boss from Wanchai. Why the rough treatment? A voice called out from beside Yang Dong. It was Professor Zhang, who was staring at Shen Shun with absolute admiration. Yang Dong walked over with a wide grin. Come, sit down, kid. No need to be scared. We are not going to hurt you. Shen Shun glanced at Shen Qian, who was shaking with fear. They were both highly intelligent. They knew instantly that the billions in Yang Dong's account belonged to these three tycoons. Essentially, they were Yang Dong's silent partners. They had kidnapped Shen Shun for one simple reason to get their payout. A handsome young man. One of them smiled. A noble mind always shows in a noble face. Truly a brilliant young man. As Shen Shun kept a tight grip on Shen Qian's hand, Huang Haitao approached with an oily smile. He extended his hand, looking at Shen Qian. And who is this lovely young lady? My cousin. Shen Shun lied. Huang Haitao chuckled politely. Under the heavy, watchful gaze of the other tycoons, Yang Dong finally lost his patience. He marched over and clapped Shen Shun on the shoulder. Incredible work, Shun. I knew the Wangs wouldn't send me a fraud. You are a genius trader, just like your father. So, tell us, how much did we clean out? Staring at Yang Dong's greedy face, Shen Shun knew he was being tested. There was no way these billionaires didn't know the final figure. The second those 4 billion yuan hit his account, his fate had been sealed. Out of 4 billion, 1.5 billion is just to pay back a friend, Shen Shun explained. Director Huang sneered. The Wangs got all the spoils. Kid, you are disloyal. If we knew there was such easy money, you should have come to us first. We do not lack cash. We could easily throw 10 or 20 million your way. Shen Shun chuckled awkwardly. He knew the men sitting before him were beasts in suits. They whined about losses but wanted to get filthy rich without spending a dime. Most imitation antiques were just trash made specifically to feed their greedy speculation. They were largely to blame for Soros pulling 24 billion out of Hong Kong stocks. But enough of that. Yang Dong swallowed hard and said, Little Zun, you took 10 million from my personal account. We have our rules. Forget the Wang family's money. Give us this cash, and we will take care of your career, your life. Even find you a wife. Name your price. Everything is negotiable. The moment Yang Dong finished, Shen Shun cursed silently. This bastard Yang Dong had a massive appetite. Out of 4 billion, 1.5 went to Wang Yu, leaving 2.5 billion. It seemed these guys wanted to pocket all 2.5 billion. Shen Qian sensed the danger and leaned closer to Shen Sun, who just offered a sheepish smile. He nodded, pulling a bank card from his pocket, and said generously, Do not worry, Boss Yang. I have got it ready. This 500 million is yours. Without your funding, I could not have made this much. As soon as those words left his mouth, Huang Haitao and Director Huang and Director Hu turned pale. Yang Dong looked awkward too. Clearly, he did not care how much Shen Shun gave him. He had invested 200 million himself and made a killing. The real issue was, bang, the hot-tempered director Hugh slammed his hand on the table. He pointed right at Shen Shun's face. You brat, are you treating us like beggars? 500 million? Do you have any idea how much we lost because of your stunt? 500 million is not even pocket change. Do you know how much our assets shrank because of your trading? Shen Qian cringed and shrank back toward Shen Shun, looking at her cousin in a panic. But he only smiled back gently, completely unfazed. Shen Qian knew exactly what kind of people they were. Even if her father were here, he would not be worthy of sitting at this table. These three men wielded enough power to shake the entire nation's economy. Could Shen Shun really handle them? Amid her anxiety, a warm, broad hand gently covered her delicate fingers. Shen Qian looked at him, wondering if this was really her cousin. So soft, Shen Shun thought, as he quietly squeezed his cousin's hand. After enjoying the moment, he spoke up. If not for us, you three might be bankrupt by now. Honestly, you should be thanking us. You little bastard, what garbage are you spewing? Director Hugh slammed the table again, sending a wine glass crashing to the floor. It shattered with a sharp screech, instantly freezing the room. I have no reason to lie. Shen Shun shrugged. If you do not believe me, ask Professor Zhang Kong here. You surely trust his word. As soon as he finished, every eye in the room locked onto Professor Zhang Kang. Boss Hu, do not be hasty. This young man is absolutely right. Professor Zhang rubbed his hands excitedly, his eyes practically shining. If this young brother had not stepped in, our whole nation would have faced a far worse catastrophe. Young man, if you do not mind my age, I would love to study under you as your student. The room fell dead silent. Professor Zhang was a giant in the financial sector, a legendary authority. Yet today, he wanted to bow to a 20-something wet-behind-the-ears kid. It was absolutely mind-boggling. Who could have seen this coming? Huang Haitao coughed dryly, his face tense. Professor Zhang, we invited young brother Shen here for serious business today. We can discuss mentorship later. Professor Zhang seemed to realize he had lost his composure and sat back down, composed. Yet, his gaze remained fixed on Shen Shun, filled with intense admiration. Actually, we did not invite you here today to demand money, Huang Haitao said, squinting. 2.5 billion is a lot, but it is not that important to us. Just spit it out then, Shen Shun replied, poised. This old fox had called him a kid a moment ago, and now he was young brother. Ha ha, you are a direct man. I will not beat around the bush. Huang Haitao picked up his bulky mobile phone and dialed his secretary. Bring the files. Moments later, a stunning secretary in black stockings and red high heels walked in, holding a stack of files. As she leaned over to place them on the table before Shen Shun, he got a clear view down her collar. Ah, Blauloser. The secretary noticed his gaze and gave him a playful wink. Just as Shen Shun was about to thank her, a sharp pinch hit his right hand. Shen Qian was glaring at him, her lips pouted in annoyance. Shen Shun quickly picked up the documents to hide his embarrassment. Well, did you spot anything? Huang Haitao asked with a sly, knowing grin. These are all worthless internet startups, Shen Shun murmured, frowning as he began to suspect their plan. They are worthless now, but who knows about tomorrow? Huang Haitao took a sip of red wine. You want to pump up these stock prices and sell them at a premium, Shen Shun countered. See? Old who? Dealing with smart people is so easy. Huang Haitao laughed aloud. Exactly. We control these companies, and after the market shakeup you caused, this is the perfect moment to inflate the stock prices. He was right. Retail investors were panicked right now. If a few strong stocks suddenly surged against the tide, they would instantly attract all the attention. There was no telling how high those stocks could soar. It was the perfect opportunity for these speculators. Their financial instincts were incredibly sharp. So, are you willing to join us? Huang Haitao asked with a warm smile. Just say yes, and I will guarantee your wealth for life. I will even let that 2.5 billion slide. Shen Shun nodded slightly but remained silent. If these guys pulled this off, 2.5 billion would be nothing. They would control the entire economy. These men were pure evil. They wanted to pump the market and dump at the peak, leaving regular investors ruined. But if he refused their demands, neither he nor Shen Qian would likely survive the night. Fine. I will run the trade for you, he decided, weighing his options. But I will need enough capital, and you must meet my conditions. Outstanding. It is a deal then. Huang Haitao was ecstatic. Come, young brother, let me toast you. With that, Huang Haitao drained his glass of red wine. Following his lead, Director Huang, Director Hu, and Yang Dong finished theirs too. Shen Qian looked at Shen Shun with worry. but he gave her a reassuring glance before draining his glass. Huang Haitao clapped his hands, and course after course of gourmet food was served. The tense room instantly filled with laughter and chatter. After dinner, a drunken Huang Haitao draped an arm over Shen Sun's shoulder. "Young brother, how many days do you need to push these stocks to $10? By the way, I hear your parents are frantically looking for you." The underlying threat was clear. Until he met their demands, he was not leaving. Shen Shun's jaw tightened. This old fossil dared to threaten him? Just wait, he thought. He slapped his chest, pretending to be drunk. 3 days. I guarantee I will deliver. Excellent. A true young hero. Huang Haitao laughed heartily, calling over the butler. Butler Lu, show this young man and his girl to their suite. Fulfill any request he has. Understood, sir, the elderly butler replied, bowing to Shen Shun. Would you like me to find someone to carry the young lady back? Shen Qian, unable to hold her liquor after just 2 glasses of red wine, had passed out right at the table. No need, I will do it, Shen Sun said, scooping his cousin up. She was surprisingly light. He followed the butler to their room and looked around. The room was massive, lavishly decorated, fully furnished, and even had its own laundry room. It was practically a luxury suite. Once Butler Liu left, Shen Shun gently laid Shen Qian onto the soft, spacious bed. The red wine was hitting her hard. Her porcelain skin was flushed crimson down to her neck, and her clothes were slightly disheveled. Shen Sun's eyes lingered on her curves. He swallowed hard. He was no saint, and having such a breathtaking beauty passed out on his bed was incredibly testing. But he was not the type to take advantage of someone, especially his own cousin. Fighting down his racing hormones, he slipped off her shoes and coat, tucked her in, and checked the time. 10 o'clock. Outside, a full moon hung high, making him reflect on everything he had done since his rebirth. Were his parents worried sick, unable to sleep? Sighing, Shen Shun decided to call it a night. He had to deal with those 3 old foxes tomorrow. He took a shower but realized neither of them had any spare clothes. He had to wrap a towel around his waist and step out to call Butler Liu. Just as he opened the door, their eyes met. Startled, Shen Sun did not even realize his towel had slipped to the floor. Shen Qian shrieked, covering her eyes but peeking through her fingers. Shen Sun finally realized, quickly snatching up the towel to cover himself. You are awake? He stammered, his mind racing at how absurd this was. Yeah, I felt really thirsty, so I got up to get some water. Are you still dizzy? Shen Sun asked, concerned. A little sleep helped. I am feeling better. Good. Mr. Shen, Miss Shen, is everything all right in there? Shen Sun sneered inwardly. Those 3 old geezers actually had people spying on them. Everything is fine. Could you bring us a set of men's clothing and something new for the lady? Shen Sun called through the door. Certainly, sir. Anything else? Not for now. Shen Sun made a shushing gesture to Shen Qian, warning her that walls had ears. He then went into the bathroom and flicked the light switch on and off repeatedly. After a few tries, he frowned, filled a glass with water, and splashed it onto the light fixture. The bulb sputtered, flickered twice, and died. Shen Qian was about to ask what he was doing, but he silenced her again. He crouched down, reaching beneath the sink. Moments later, he pulled out a small black square device with a blinking red light-a-bug. Shen Qian stared, completely stunned. Shen Sun then checked behind the television, inside the lamps, in the drawers, and under the chairs, pulling out 4 more listening devices. Those ruthless old vultures were indeed watching his every move. Disabling the bugs one by one, he finally heard Shen Qian whisper, her heart still pounding. Shen Shun, how did you know where they were hiding those? She was now in absolute awe of her cousin. His sheer boldness in throwing around millions and standing tall against those 3 powerful tycoons fascinated her. Now, behaving like a seasoned detective, he had swept the room for surveillance. It made him seem completely mysterious. Saw it on television. Didn't think they'd actually have them, he lied. Shen Shun shrugged it off. He could hardly tell her that in his past life, he had been put under constant surveillance after claiming a massive slice of the global financial pie. Shen Shun, I feel like I do not know you anymore. Do not worry, Qian. I am still me. I just had to adapt. I am just worried about you, she said, shaking her head. Those men are ruthless. I am afraid they will destroy you. Her words struck a chord in Shen Shun's heart. How long had it been since anyone actually cared about him? In his past life, he reached the absolute peak. But he was completely alone. So many people had only treated him well for his money. But in this life, with his parents alive and his family caring so deeply, he felt completely out of his depth. I know, but don't worry. They won't dare touch me right now, Shen Sun said. I just feel guilty. This was my mess, and I shouldn't have dragged a girl like you into it. So what? You're my little brother. How could I just stand by and watch you get bullied? Remember when that dog chased you as a kid? I threw a rock and scared it off. Shen Qian raised her small fist, huffing indignantly. It's the same now. I'll still beat up anyone who bullies you. Shen Shun chuckled softly, surprised she remembered something from so long ago. What a girl. He reached out to stroke her hair. A man's problems should be settled by men. I'll get you out safely. But I'm clearly your older sister, Shen Qian retorted, slightly defiant. Be good. Listen to me, Shen Shun said, bossily patting her head. Besides, you're a woman. It's only natural for a man to protect a woman. Surprisingly, Shen Qian didn't talk back or look annoyed, simply letting his palm rest on her head. With his cheeks blushing slightly, Shen Sun saw that Butler Liu had prepared 3 sets of clean, new clothes for them, with tags still attached. Talk about convenient, man. These were luxury items, just one jacket cost over $1,000. Still, he wouldn't let his guard down for some free perks. Shen Qian knew nothing about brands. She simply checked if they fit before saying, I'll shower first. Ever since they were kidnapped and interrogated, she hadn't bathed once. For a neat freak like her, it was pure agony. But with a young man and woman sharing a room together, and the bathroom being right next to the bed, semi-transparent no less, it was hard not to let his imagination run wild. Once she finished showering, Shen Qian changed into Butler Liu's clean outfit, a light green pleated dress. She already looked naturally pure, but now she looked incredibly fresh and sweet. Shen Sun froze, completely dazed. How had he never realized how stunning she was? Is it a bit much? Shen Qian asked, feeling shy. Do I look like a kid? I think it suits you perfectly. You look beautiful, Shen Shun said sincerely. She huffed. Well, I guess that is smart of you. Shen Qian let out a soft huff, though she couldn't hide her smile. Sitting beside him, she playfully twirled her damp hair around her finger. Do you think we can really escape? Of course, Shen Shun promised. Even if I can't leave, I'll make sure you do. Hearing this, she panicked. No way. If you can't leave, I'm staying too. Realizing she sounded too eager, she quickly added, I'm your sister. If I abandon you, how do I face your parents? Shen Sun chuckled, a wave of warmth filling his heart. I have a plan, but it's risky. I might need your help. Don't say that. We're in the same boat now. Your business is my business. Shen Sun fell silent for a moment, then whispered, First, we must contact the outside world. How? I have an idea. This villa belongs to one of them, and there are no cameras in the rooms we've been in. That means someone used to live here, Shen Qian whispered. Shen Sun stared at him. He didn't expect Shen Qian to be this sharp, piecing it together so quickly. Exactly. Since someone lived here, they probably left a pager or computer. Are you trying to find them and call the police? Shen Qian whispered, covering his mouth. But we don't even know where we are. What if the cops are corrupt? Shen Sun already anticipated his fears. Don't worry. I'm not that stupid. Wait, are you saying I'm stupid? Shen Qian pouted. No, absolutely not, Shen Shun chuckled. Calling the police is out of the question. But I have another plan. But they're watching us. There must be guards outside, right? There are probably no more than 5 guards watching us. Shen Shun raised 3 fingers. Why are you so sure? Shen Qian asked, confused. 3 reasons. First, looking out, it's all woods. So we're in the suburbs. Since the villa is out here, they definitely don't want any unwanted attention. Plus, we are completely helpless, so they don't need a massive team to watch us. Shen Qian nodded. Second, since they brought us straight here after grabbing us, this villa is likely their hub for illegal operations. And third, if it really is like that, the fewer people who know about this place, the better. Yeah, that makes sense, Shen Qian agreed. But what about the last point? Take a look at this. Shen Shun pulled a crumpled note from his pocket and handed it over. Find a way to the study at 3 a.m. I left what you need there. No more than 5 guards outside, and probably under 3 inside. Exact locations unknown. Be extremely careful. Reading this, Shen Qian was completely speechless. Who gave you this? Yang Dong slipped it to me. So you knew all along. Why didn't you say so earlier? Shen Qian felt like he'd been played like a fool. I didn't want you to worry, Shen Sun admitted sheepishly. He took the note back, tore it up, and flushed it down the toilet. Can we trust him? Shen Qian whispered. What if we're jumping from the frying pan into the fire? Since he risked slipping this to me behind the 3 bosses' backs, he's likely trustworthy. But he's the one who dragged you into this mess. If he wants to make real money, he won't betray me. Shen Qian suddenly realized something. No wonder you texted him to put all his money in. You had this trump card ready. He's no fool. He knows if I work for the big three, he won't get a dime, Shen Shun said. But if he helps me, I'll owe him a favor. That means major payouts for him later. Every investment of mine has to pay off. Now that is what makes a real educator. Shen Qian froze, completely shocked that his cousin was so down to earth. He looked 20, but had the mind of an old monster. Nothing he said or did fit his age, even if President Yang is helping us. What about the guards? Don't worry, I have a plan, Shen Sun smiled. Our goals tonight are to find a communication device and whatever Yang Dong left for us. What did he leave? Maybe a pager? That would be best. Shen Sun shrugged. It is getting late. Get some rest. He stood up, but Shen Qian grabbed him. Where are you going? I am sleeping on the couch. Just sleep here. The bed is huge. But what? We slept together all the time as kids. Forgot that? Shen Qian did not wait for an answer, pulling him back onto the mattress with rare force. Sleep here. You will catch a cold on the couch. Why are you acting so shy? Seemingly annoyed, she pulled the blanket over her head and buried herself, leaving only a final threat. Sleep here or do not. Shen Zun was utterly baffled. Since she put it that way, refusing would be rude. He undressed and slipped inside. Lying on the soft, spacious bed, all his recent exhaustion seemed to melt away, and he quickly drifted into a deep sleep. He had no idea that just inches away, Shen Qian lay wide awake, her face red and her heart pounding. He lay there without making a single sound. Shen Qian grew curious and wanted to speak, but then she heard soft snoring. Flushing bright red, she wanted to punch him. Idiot, idiot, giant idiot. Wake up, Shen Sun. In his dream, Shen Sun vaguely heard a sweet voice calling his name. Sister Qian? He rubbed his blurry eyes, exhausted. What time is it? He felt as if he had just closed his eyes, not feeling like he slept at all. The room was pitch black. The woods outside the window were quiet. It was a time when the world slept. 10 minutes to 3, Shen Qian said helplessly. It should still be in time. Shen Shun smacked his head, realizing he almost ruined their big plans. Sorry, Sister Qian. I almost slept through. You have been too exhausted. Shen Qian sighed, shaking her head. Rest well after this is all over. It was not his fault. After everything they faced, his mind had been under intense pressure. A few hours of rest was nowhere near enough to fully recover. He had to find what they needed, and then get real sleep. After preparing, the two stood at the door, locking eyes. Ready? Shen Sun nodded. Let's go. Stay behind me. If the bosses spot us, I will hold them off. Shen Qian tried to argue, but Shen Shun cut her off. No time to debate. Do exactly as I say, okay? Helpless, she nodded in agreement. Fine, let's move. Shen Zun quietly cracked open the door. Leaving a tiny crack, he saw the hallway was dark. No footsteps could be heard. Shen Shun relaxed, opened the door, and stepped out. Luckily, no one guarded the room. The bosses probably did not want to arouse their suspicion just yet. They were on the second floor. Shen Shun remembered the study was on the first floor, next to the dining room. This villa was over 500 square meters. Massive. They had to be careful. If they failed, the bosses would likely turn on them or do something worse. Waiting around to die was not Shen Zun's style. With this one chance, they had to seize it. Slow down. The light is on. Someone is there, Shen Zun whispered. The stairs were just ahead. To reach the first floor, they had to pass here. Looking closely, a hulking guard in black stood by the stairs, smoking. What now? We cannot beat him, she worried. Who said we are fighting? Shen Shun whispered. Sister Qian, you are up. What should I do? I clogged our toilet. Ask him to fix it to buy me some time. I will be back before he is done. Too risky, she said. Trust me. Shen Qian nodded, decided to go all in, and walked out. Hearing her, the hulking guard noticed immediately. Excuse me, sir, could you help us? Shen Qian asked shyly. Our toilet is clogged. It is so late, and I do not know what to do. Sure, miss, I will grab some tools. Watching from the shadows, Shen Sun chuckled. This tough guard was completely helpless against Shen Qian's charm. He hurried off to find tools. Stall him as long as you can, Shen Shun whispered, before slipping away while the guard was gone. Shen Jun crept downstairs. The living room below was brightly lit. Another guard, dressed just like the first one, sat on the sofa looking down at something. Straining his ears, Shen Shun could hear the man muttering to himself. The guard sat with his back to him. Knowing he could not waste time, Shen Sun bravely stepped down. Off the final stair, he finally heard the guard sobbing, Oh, Chancellor, do not die. What will Shu do without you? The guard was actually crying over a novel. He stayed up late and got way too emotional over the Three Kingdoms. This made things incredibly easy. Moving in the dark, Shenshun reached the study door without any trouble. He could barely believe his luck. Slipping into the pitch-black study, he didn't dare turn on the lights. In a room this massive, how could he find what Yang Dong left him? Just as his mind raced, a stranger's voice spoke from behind, freezing him solid. Goosebumps erupted across his skin as cold sweat poured down. Are you looking for this? Damn it. The absolute worst-case scenario. Caught red-handed, Shen Sun clenched his fists, his mind racing for a way out. You must be Shen Shun, the unfamiliar voice said from behind. The voice came from behind. This is what Yang Dong left you. Seeing Shen Shun stay silent, the man continued. I saw him sneak into the study after dinner. He was in there for over 10 minutes. I knew he was up to something, and sure enough, I found this. So I've been waiting for you here. What do you want? Shenzun turned around, but the room was so dark he couldn't make out the man's face. I haven't told anyone about this, the shadow said. I can sell this to you? I really need the cash. Shen Shun froze, skeptical. He skeptically asked, how much do you want? How much can you offer? The man countered. It's a pager and a document. I haven't touched them. Shenzun still felt this was fishy. Just name your price. Hand over the items and keep my secret, and I'll pay you. In the dim moonlight, Shenzun saw the man hold up 5 fingers. 500 million? Shenzun gasped. Did this guy overhear his conversation with the 3 bosses and decide to blackmail him? Talk about greedy. Seeing Shen Shun hesitate to speak, the man grew restless. The man couldn't wait any longer. He lowered 2 fingers, his voice turning anxious. 50,000? If not, is 30,000 okay? Say that again? How much? Shen Sun wondered if he was hearing things. 30 wait. How about 10,000? Shen Sun was utterly speechless. This guy completely threw him off. Even though 10,000 was a lot of money back then, to Shen Shun, it was pocket change. 8,000 is fine too. 10,000 it is, Shen Shun replied, not wanting to waste time. But my accounts are monitored. I can't pay you right now. When can I get it? I need cash fast. Hearing his tone soften, Shen Sun bargained. Hand over the pager first. Give me your account, and I'll have my buddy wire you the money tomorrow. Deal? He wondered how Shen Qian was doing. He had to get back. How can I trust you? If the money isn't there by 10 tomorrow, go straight to your boss and expose me. You know what he'd do to me better than I do. 10 is a bit late, the man muttered, hesitating. Shen Zun had no time to waste and pressed him. I promise I'm not playing you. This is tough, the man muttered. What's tough about it? You're dragging this out, so you should charge more. Wait, where had he heard that before? Fine. How much? 5,000? The man asked meekly. I'll make it 10,000. Just stop stalling. Miss? The toilet is all cleared. The big man in black wiped sweat from his forehead, holding a plunger. I won't disturb you any longer. Wait, don't leave yet, Shen Qian cried. She hadn't expected him to be so fast, unclogging it in under 5 minutes. Is there anything else you need, miss? The big man asked, puzzled. Could you check the air conditioner? Shen Qian was a terrible liar. I think there's a smell. Maybe it's moldy from sitting idle? True. This room has been empty for a while. He nodded. I'll take a look. I'll check it out. Shen Qian sighed in relief, glad the big guy was simple and harmless. But his next words made her break into a cold sweat. By the way, miss, where's the gentleman staying with you? Oh, he was exhausted. He's sleeping like a log. Just ignore him, Shen Qian said, pointing to the bed 10 meters away. See? Our talking hasn't even nudged him. The guard glanced over. In the dim light, he didn't inspect closely. I'll keep the noise down then. Shen Qian exhaled. Luckily, she'd stuffed some pillows. She had stuffed some pillows under the blanket. From a distance, it really looked like a sleeping body. Thank goodness he was so dense. A smarter guard would have busted her. He was simple, but incredibly efficient. In under 3 minutes, he had the AC filter cleaned and reinstalled. His movements were seamless, leaving Shen Qian completely stunned. Dude, slow down a bit. Miss, that should do it, the big guy said, snapping the cover shut. If there's nothing else, but before he could finish his sentence, she interrupted him. Shen Qian cut him off. Look how much you're sweating. You'll catch a cold. Why don't you take a warm shower before you go? The guard froze, scratching his buzz cut. I appreciate the offer, miss, but I need to get back to guarding you two. Oh, don't be shy. It's so late, and I've put you through so much trouble. I feel terrible. Shen Qian coaxed with a fake smile. Just take a hot shower and relax. I really can't, miss. I'm on duty. If I leave my post, the boss will dock my pay. But isn't your job just to protect us? We'll stay right here and won't cause any trouble. Shen Qian's lying skills were getting better. Besides, your boss is asleep, and there are no cameras. Who's gonna know? She batted her beautiful eyes. Right, brother? Miss, I appreciate the thought I get paid to do a job, and I won't let my boss down, the guard said righteously, thumping his chest with pride. Shen Qian was speechless. Was this guy totally brainless? Anyone else being sweet-talked by a stunning beauty like her would have surrendered. They would have thrown up the white flag immediately. But this guy was completely unfazed. Unbelievable. Well, miss, it's late. Please rest. I'll take my leave now. He turned to open the door. Shen Qian broke into a cold sweat. If she let him walk out, Shen Shun would never get back in. Shen Qian clenched her fists, determined to keep him here. Grabbing his sleeve, she forced a smile that looked worse than crying. Brother, you must be thirsty, right? Have some water first. No thanks, miss. I'm not thirsty. Want some food? I already ate. How about using the restroom first? She was so desperate she didn't even know what she was saying. The guard paused. Miss, are you hiding something from me? He glanced toward the bed in the distance. Oh no, the jig is up, Shen Qian panicked. No, what could I be hiding? Why is it that we're making so much noise, but that gentleman hasn't moved a muscle, he'd noticed. Oh, really? At this point, she could only play dumb. Maybe he just rolled over? I need to check on him. Step aside, please. The guard's voice grew stern. It's so late, let's not wake him. Shen Qian begged, cold sweat dripping. Her heart was pounding at over 120 beats per minute. If you make him mad, you might get fined, right? Let me repeat myself. Step aside. He was completely impervious. No matter how she pleaded, he wouldn't listen. If she blocked him any longer, he would force his way through. Helplessly, Shen Qian stepped back. She watched him cross her final line of defense. In an instant, the guard reached the bed, grabbing the blanket's edge to pull it back. She closed her eyes in pure despair, leaning weakly against the wall, filled with self-blame. She had failed him. She could already picture what the three bosses would do to them. It was over. Hey, what the hell are you doing? Hearing that familiar voice, Shen Qian snapped out of her despair. Why are you pulling my blanket? Are you out of your mind? Shen Sun yelled. Do you have any idea what time it is? Why are you pulling my blanket? Shen Shun roared. If Shen Qian hadn't known the truth, even she would have been fooled. Now that was acting. I am so sorry, sir, the guard stammered. I just wanted to make sure. Make sure of what? It's the middle of the night. If I'm not sleeping here, where would I be? Playing downstairs? I was sleeping like a log, and you made me think I was being assassinated. I'm so sorry, sir. Please forgive my intrusion. I ought to tell your boss and get you fired right now. Hearing this, the guard panicked. Please don't, sir. Don't tell my boss. I need this job. Please forgive me just this once. He bowed and apologized profusely, his attitude completely sincere. Shen Shun felt too bad to keep yelling. He feigned annoyance instead. Fine, fine, I won't press it. Just get out and let me sleep. Thank you, sir, thank you. I'm leaving right now. With that, the guard rushed out of the room, carefully shutting the door behind him. Once he was gone, all of Shen Qian's strength vanished, and she slumped onto the floor. When did you get back? You scared me to death, she sobbed. Shen Sun was taken aback by her tears and rushed over. He jumped off the bed, wrapped his arms around her, and whispered comforting words. I'm sorry I was late. I climbed in through the first-floor window. I saw you talking, so I kept quiet. He gently stroked her head. Thank goodness you bought me some time. Shen Qian gasped, checking him over. Climbing the window? It's so high. What if you'd fallen? But I'm completely fine. Shen Sun smiled. Are you worried about me? Of course. A sister worrying about her brother is totally normal. Shen Qian shot back defensively. Shen Shun smirked, letting the topic drop. Did you get the stuff? What is it? Something that will free us from their clutches, Shen Shun smiled. The next morning, Butler Lu knocked on their door right on time. Mr. Shen? Miss Shen? Are you awake? Shen Sun called out from inside. This early? Can't we sleep in? The chairman requests your presence for breakfast in the hall. The door swung open. Shen Sun and Shen Qian were already fully dressed. We're starving and ready to eat, Shen Sun said. They followed the butler to the dining room, where the three bosses were already eating. Seeing Shen Shun, Huang Haitao greeted him warmly. Morning, Shen. Did you sleep well? Thanks to you. The bed was great, but I still prefer my own. Shen Shun yawned. He sat down with Shen Qiang. No need to rush, Shen. You'll be going home in a few days anyway, Director Huang agreed. If you really can't sleep, I can have someone fetch your bed from your house. The hot-tempered Director Hugh laughed. Shen Zun's mouth twitched, but he held back, offering an awkward chuckle. Shen, the equipment is being set up. Today is the first stop. Are you ready? Huang Haitao stuffed a sandwich into his mouth. All our cash is riding on you, after all. Shen Shun knew it was a warning not to pull any tricks. Don't worry, I won't disappoint. Honestly, even without the threats, pumping up a stock's valuation was child's play for him. In his past life, countless firms had hired him as their trader. Almost every time he delivered exactly what the clients wanted. But this time was different. By the time they finished breakfast, it was already 9 o'clock, with 30 minutes until the market opened. As Shen Qian logged in, Shen Shun sat waiting. The three bosses sat behind Shen Shun, watching him closely. There were 7 target companies, each worth under 300 million. They handed over several accounts, each loaded with over 100 million, for Shen Shun to trade, while Shen Qian managed the funds. Even though Shen Qian had seen a lot, handling this much money made her nervous. But to Shen Shun, 100 million was nothing. The money he had managed in his career was astronomical. At 9:30, the market bell rang. Shen Shun's lazy gaze instantly sharpened. 30 million into stock D, split in 3 batches. 10 million into stock E, split in 5. Someone's noticed one of our stocks. Take it slow. No rush. Damn. This kid is the real deal, Director Hugh muttered, watching the climbing chart. Gu's eyes popped. This was beyond skill. It was monstrous. Huang squinted, managing 7 stocks at once, completely steady. What else do you call a monster? Old Huang. What if he actually meets our demands in 3 days? Are we really letting him go? Director Gu asked. If he works for us? Sure, why not? Huang Haitao kept his eyes glued to the massive screen. And if he refuses? He has no choice, Huang said blankly. In Kyushu, whoever we want gets taken. Ha ha ha, right. Only you would think of that, old Huang. But we did kidnap him. He must hold a grudge. We need a way to make him stay. Director Huang lit a cigar. That is easy. 100 million. Not enough? How about 200 million? Or 300 million? Director Hughes scoffed. I will drown him in cash. You think a talent like him lacks money? Director Huang rolled his eyes. So what now? Huang Haitao stared coldly at the screen. If we cannot use him, we destroy him. In a stock forum, traders were frantically discussing today's bloody market. User A wrote, Brothers, it is a sea of red. I cannot take this. User B snapped. Damn it, I lost 40% in 2 days. This year is completely ruined. My whole year was for nothing. User C posted, Brothers, I lost a Mercedes. Help? User A asked, Where did you lose it? User B added, You lost your car and you are trolling here? Call the police. User C replied, Police cannot help. I lost it in the Hong Kong stock market. User C replied, attaching a screenshot showing a loss of 400,000. The replies exploded with respect. Another user asked, Can anyone recommend a safe stock? User B mocked, Dreaming? In a financial crisis? Where is a safe stock in this crisis? User D chimed in, Brothers, look at this one. It is actually bucking the trend. User C scoffed, An internet startup? That is a trap. Pump and dump. Only fools buy. User E said, But this growth looks insane. Just opened and already up 3%. User D wrote, I am going all in. You guys keep watching. He shared a screenshot buying 1 million yuan. The forum instantly bowed down, chanting, All hail the king. I am following the boss. User B added, Even if it is a trap, it is a winning trap. I am buying. Soon the whole forum was buzzing. Some thought they caught a trend, while others insisted this rise was just a temporary illusion. Inside a private villa, a secretary excitedly reported to Huang Haitao, Mr. Huang, our stocks all turned from losses to massive gains. Changsheng Internet broke 0.35 per share. By 10 a.m., trading volume had already shattered all records. Changsheng is up over 10%, likely hitting 20% before noon. The others grew at least 3%. Hearing this, even the 3 tycoons gasped. This kid is no longer just a talent, Director Gu muttered, staring. He is a straight-up wizard. Director Gu stared at the screen, barely breathing. Hong Kong stocks have no daily price limits. Let us see how far he goes. But the upfront cash is heavy, Director Huang sighed. The 100 million we prepared did not even last him an hour. Think bigger, old Huang. Director Hugh patted his shoulder. Subtracting the 300 million we used to pump the price, we are up 1 billion. Once we dump, the cash flows back. Take a break, boss. The market has stabilized, Shenzun said, handing a bottle of water to Shenqian. Thanks, Shenqian replied, his hand trembling. He still could not believe that in just one morning, they had manipulated these stock prices so high. Think bigger. This is only the beginning, Shenzun said casually. The real game starts next. But is this safe? Shenqian asked, worried. I fear it will spin out of control. Relax. It is all going according to plan. The forum exploded. Usually, a post barely got 100 views. Today, one thread hit 10,000 views. User A posted, "Buy Chongsheng. I made all my losses back, brothers." User B replied, "Holy cow, I thought I would starve this year. Chongsheng saved me. This train is unstoppable." User C joked, "Changsheng is officially my father." User B cheered, "Let us get rich." User D added, "I am in a great mood. Here is a red packet." He sent 1,000 yuan, snapped up in 60 seconds. Boss is incredibly generous. User B added, "He made enough for a Mercedes C-Class in one morning." User D then posted his daily earnings screenshot, showing over 369,000 yuan. User C pleaded, "Boss, is it too late to buy? I admit I spoke too loudly earlier." User D replied, "Just go all in." He shared another screenshot showing a 1 million yuan purchase just before closing. As User D doubled down, the entire forum went into an absolute frenzy. The sentiment toward Changsheng shifted completely. Now it was, buy and you win. Changsheng's name spread like wildfire. Lunch break ended at 1 p.m. The stock chart shot up straight like a golden pillar, pointing right to the sky. It pointed straight to the sky. Everyone was thrilled, feeling like a bull market had arrived. But the broader market was still bleeding. Only Changsheng was soaring abnormally. "Mr. Huang, Mr. Shen says we need to add more," the secretary whispered. Her voice trembled. "Just add it. Do not bother me with such small things," Huang Haitao said, squinting. "Old Huang, we already added 500 million. Director Huang frowned. "At this rate, our cash flow will dry up fast." "Old Huang, this is why you are called Old Huang, while he is Brother Huang." Director Hu laughed. "So what if we burn through cash? We can just dump some shares to liquidate. Should we sell some now?" "Old Huang, are you crazy? The momentum is perfect. Selling now is like throwing money away." Director Hu sneered. "Look at you, panicking over a few 100 million. I just worry it might crash." "Worry about what? If the stock crashes, I will eat this screen on the spot." Meanwhile, traffic on the forum exploded to several times its normal rate. One post actually shattered 30,000 views, a completely unprecedented milestone. The reason was, a user named Common Prosperity. He recommended several stocks, and for each one, he bought at least 1 million yuan. Such huge retail trades were extremely rare back then. Even rarer, in this bear market, every single stock he picked surged without exception. Even if they were down, they rallied the moment he bought. This kind of person could only be described as a god. Even better, he posted every single trade online. Following him meant guaranteed profits. Soon, the internet dubbed Common Prosperity a living Buddha, worshipped by countless investors. If social media trends existed back then, he would have been the #1 topic. User A posted, "Prosperity is a god. Today blew my mind." User E added, "Where does he work? I have so much to learn. Could I treat you to dinner?" That comment came with an enticing selfie of a beautiful woman. User B replied, "Shameless fox. Do you think our brother is that shallow?" Then User B posted a selfie of his own, writing, "Brother Prosperity, is a guy okay?" The thread exploded with laughter, but soon everyone was posting selfies, men, women, even an elderly man. User C wrote, "Brothers, I want to build a monument for him. What should the inscription say?" While the hype spread like wildfire, the masterminds behind the scenes cared nothing for retail gossip. Time flew, and the market closed. Today, there were only two kinds of investors: those who bought Changsheng and those who did not. Those holding Changsheng were making easy, effortless money. "Mr. Huang, our company saw a massive surge in market value today," the secretary reported. Changsheng was the star, doubling its value to 0.8 yuan per share. Mr. Shen spent 800 million to pump the price today. Now, our holdings in these companies are worth 4 billion yuan. Before today, they were worth under 500 million. Our net profit for today is about 2.7 billion yuan. The CFO's hand shook. Due to the recent Black Swan event, the tycoons had lost 5 billion. Yet today, in just 24 hours, they clawed back a massive portion of their losses, and they did it during a market crash. This was a legendary turnaround. Brother Shen, you are an absolute genius. Huang Haitao cheered, jogging over. That was hard work. I am exhausted. Get us some professional masseuses tonight, Shen Shun replied. Make sure they are highly skilled. Shen Sun rubbed his tired eyes and stretched. Whatever you need, just ask. Huang laughed. What if I want to go home? Shen Sun raised an eyebrow. Of course you can, Huang said, smiling falsely, but we still have 2 days left on our agreement. After that, I will let you go. Shen Shun sneered inwardly. The bastard was playing dumb. Fine, get dinner ready. We want to eat, then get our massages. Prosperity posted, holding Cheng Sheng. If you have cash, buy more. If not, borrow. If you cannot borrow, do your best. User A asked, it skyrocketed yesterday. Still holding? User B wrote, my wedding savings are in here. Please do not betray us, right? User C snapped, what are you scared of? Making money? Buy more. Common Prosperity replied, trust me, brothers. We feast again today. User A cheered, trust the boss in charge. User B added, fortune favors the bold. User C posted, I missed yesterday and lost out. Not today. I sold my Audi for 400,000, and I am mortgaging my house next. He attached a screenshot of his purchase. Once the market opened, Changsheng again shocked everyone by surging 20% right away. It was pure madness. Suddenly, Common Prosperity's name echoed across the forum, cementing him as an absolute god. User A declared, from today on, I officially have 2 fathers. User B asked, is Brother Prosperity a fortune teller? User C added, forget the monument. Let us build him a temple. The replies flooded in. Count me in for donations. User E wrote, I threw out my God of Wealth statue for his picture. He attached a photo showing the altar's deity replaced with Prosperity's profile picture. By now, 9 out of 10 posts were debating who he actually was. Some claimed he was an insider, while others said he just got lucky. Some even swore he was the God of Wealth reincarnated. Though his identity was a mystery, nobody questioned his moves. Every trade was flawless, even avoiding minor market dips. As the stock market closed, day 2 of trading ended. Having spent 1.5 billion yuan today to pump the stock price, the CFO stared at the report, his mind completely numb. He could barely believe he had prepared this himself. But just Changsheng Company's market cap had already hit 6 billion yuan. Just give me the net profit, Huang Haitao snapped, cutting him off. Today's net profit was 6.2 billion yuan. On day 3, the final day, Boss Huang, today is the last day, Shen Shun said, sitting at the round table using his knife and fork to slice a premium New Zealand Wagyu steak. Nearby sat a 1976 Romani Conti worth hundreds of thousands. No wonder they say luxury is easy to get used to but impossible to leave behind. Shen Shun finally understood this. On his first day, the 3 tycoons served him lavish feasts. But back then, if he had refused their demands, they would have turned on him instantly. Yet, after he showed his genius, his status skyrocketed. The 3 tycoons treated him like absolute royalty, putting him up in a presidential suite, feeding him gourmet dishes fit for billionaire executives. Anyone else would have gone soft living like this. But Shen Sun was not one to lose his edge. His deal with the tycoons was simply to push their average stock prices to 10 yuan per share. Yet by yesterday afternoon, Changsheng Group stock alone had surged to an astonishing 20 yuan. Before Shen Sun took over the trading, it was worth a measly 20 cents a share. Thanks to his masterclass, the company's market value had skyrocketed 100-fold. Sure, the tycoons kept pouring money in, but they knew the truth. For average traders, a 5% return on a $1 million investment was decent. Professionals averaged 20%, but Shen Shun, his return rate was a terrifying 500%. In reality, Shen Shun had already met his end of the bargain. Though everyone knew it, nobody mentioned it. The tycoon's stance was crystal clear. Even after today, they would never let him leave. No one willingly walks away from a literal money machine, especially not greedy capitalists. Once this is done, keep your word and let my sister and me go home, Shen Shun said, chewing a piece of steak. Across from him, Huang Haitao wore his usual fake grin. You've worked incredibly hard, Brother Shen. Today, once we finish, I must throw a grand banquet to thank you. No need, Boss Huang. We haven't contacted home in ages. They might worry. Ha ha, nonsense. No one is leaving. Going home would be disrespecting me. Huang Haitao kept his warm smile, but Shen Qian wanted to punch this fat pig in the face. Really, we must. Our family must be frantic, Shen Sun pleaded, playing along. Haha, rest easy, Brother Shen. How could I mistreat your parents? They are living comfortably right now. If you don't believe me, look. Huang Haitao pulled out a remote and clicked the large screen nearby. A live feed flickered on. Mom! Dad! Shen Qian gasped, covering her mouth. Even your parents? On screen, both of their parents appeared inside the same room, looking deeply anxious. Shen Shun's jaw clenched as he fought to suppress his rage. Boss Huang, what is this? Oh, don't misunderstand, Brother Shen. Your parents are at my private villa, fully cared for. Whenever I saw them wandering the streets, I worried. A safe place is much better, don't you think? Shen Qian was about to scream at his shamelessness, but Shen Shun grabbed her arm. My parents are in his hands. We can't cross him yet, he whispered. But trust me, I will make them pay today. Under the table, Shen Shun's clenched knuckles popped. Looking at his determined face, Shen Qian felt a wave of absolute trust wash over her. Her racing heart finally began to calm down. I understand your hospitality, President Huang. I'll stay tonight. Seeing Shen Shun cooperate, Huang Haitao beamed. Ha ha ha! Excellent! I love a cooperative partner. Let me toast you. Blank-faced, Shen Shun raised his glass and downed the remaining red wine. I've had my fill, Boss Huang. Back to work. Shen Shun set down his glass and quickly escorted Shen Qian out. Brother Huang, you're a genius. Who knew taming this kid would be so easy? Director Hugh laughed, swirling his wine glass. I had him vetted. No wife, no kids. His only weakness is his parents. They say family is a man's ultimate vulnerability. And it's true. As long as we hold them, this golden goose will keep laying golden eggs. Even if he's a financial wizard. On our turf, even Jesus would have to sweat for us. Spot on. Director Hugh laughed. But turning around, he noticed Director Huang looked deeply unsettled. Old Huang, what's got you so worried? Did your wife run off with someone? Screw you, yours did. Director Huang rolled his eyes. I just think things are going too smoothly. Isn't that good? Director Hugh scoffed. I just feel like something is wrong, but I can't explain it. I've been having the same dream for 2 days, Director Huang muttered anxiously. What dream? Director Hu asked. I dreamed the three of us ended up sharing a prison cell. Are you crazy? Director Hugh punched his chest. Need a doctor? Is it wrong to worry? Not everyone is simple-minded like you. Who are you calling simple-minded? Enough, Huang Haitao growled. Are you 2 5-year-olds? Brawling like children is pathetic. Put in their place. Director Hugh and Director Huang quickly stood up to apologize. Sorry, Brother Huang. Old Hu, fix that temper of yours. I will, I promise, Director Hu whimpered, looking like a scolded child. And you, Old Huang Haitao shook his head, sighing in disappointment. Stop being so paranoid. A prison cell? Do you know why the local police force can employ so many lazy bums and still pay salaries? Huang Haitao jabbed a finger at his nose. It's because the taxes I pay are enough to support this entire district. Arrest me? Every official in Juzhou is on my payroll. If they arrest me, the governor gets replaced. Understand? I understand, Director Huang said, terrified. I don't doubt your power. I just worry that kid might cause trouble. Huang Haitao scoffed. That wet behind the ears brat? I've spent decades fattening up local officials for a reason. Both he and his parents are under our watch. What could he possibly do? Pull a fast one on us? Old Huang Haitao sighed, his tone softening. In Juzhou, even if the sky falls, you have nothing to fear. I own this sky. Understand? Yes, absolutely. Director Huang nodded frantically like a pecking chicken. Just then, a knock rattled the door. Huang Haitao sat down and looked up. Xiao Liu, what's wrong? Xiao Liu, their group's CFO, rushed in, panting heavily, looking like he had run 10 kilometers. President Huang, Mr. Shen says he needs us to inject more money. Huang Haitao frowned. Just do what Mr. Shen says. I told you not to bother me with this. Scolded, Xiao Liu turned pale, whispering, but the amount is too massive this time. I can't authorize it. I had to ask. How much? Trembling, Xiao Liu raised 2 fingers. 200 million? That's pocket change. Xiao Liu shook his head. Huang Haitao growled, spit it out. 2 billion. Hearing that, even the battle-tested 3 tycoons froze in shock. Previously, their maximum single investment was only 300 million. But now, Shen Sun wanted 2 billion in one go. Injecting that much liquid cash was a massive gamble, even for them. 2 billion in cash flow is very different from fixed assets. Nowadays, a company holding 100 million in liquid cash is impressive. But Shen Shun wanted 2 billion. Brother Huang, we can't do this. It will break our cash flow. Let's just cash out and sell now, Director Huang quickly advised. But Mr. Shen said if you invest this, he guarantees today's returns will hit 10 billion, Xiaolu added. All three gasped. Brother Huang, we have to bet on this. Director Hu stood up. By this afternoon, we will get our investment back. Why not go all in? No. If anything goes wrong, we are ruined, Director Huang protested. Old Huang, why such a coward? Director Hu sneered. With that spine, go work in a park. What did you say? Director Huang snapped back. I just don't want to be a reckless idiot like you. Enough. I'm still here. Huang Haitao slammed the table, spilling the wine. Listen to me. We invest. But is this wise? Director Huang wanted to advise, but was cut off. My decision is final. Say no more. Fine. Director Huang sighed. Meanwhile, on the forum, the user Common Prosperity posted, Brothers, load up on ammo. If you're short, borrow. Go all in. Netizen A replied, On it. Everyone, follow him. Netizen B posted, I even took my son's savings. Charge. Netizen C joked, I almost sold my wife, attaching a photo of him signing a house sale contract. Common Prosperity posted, The next hour is critical. Watch closely. Don't fall behind. Netizens chimed in. Today, the stock market was electric. The tycoon stocks were flying high without stopping, just like before. But today's surge was far more aggressive. Just an hour and a half after the opening bell, Changsheng stock surged 80%, an unprecedented market spectacle. Brothers, I was $1 million in debt from gambling, and now it's all paid. Thank you, Prosperity Bro. Another wrote, My mother is sick and needs a lot of money for her surgery. I only risked a few thousand, but I earned her entire surgery cost. Prosperity Bro, you are a god. During this run, anyone following his stock picks achieved financial freedom. Incredibly, over the very next hour, these stocks doubled again, pulling off an unprecedented miracle. Over 3 days, Changsheng's trading volume hit a staggering 100 billion yuan. But just when everyone assumed the stocks would keep soaring, Common Prosperity posted, Brothers, sell every single share of these companies immediately. This simple order triggered a storm. Netizen A typed, What? Are we harvesting now? It's doing so well. Netizen B asked, Are you sure? Sell everything? Common Prosperity replied, Yes, I repeat. Sell everything. Attaching a screenshot of his account and holdings. It clearly showed he had completely liquidated his entire position, leaving absolutely nothing. 1 minute after his post, the stocks stopped dead in their tracks. After a brief pause, they plummeted, causing massive panic. The entire forum erupted. These red-hot stocks, which were on the verge of breaking the 50 yuan mark, nosedived like a crashing plane. Just 5 minutes after his post, they fell 5%. Netizen A posted, Oh my god, he's a prophet. It crashed instantly. Good thing I ran. Netizen B posted, Damn it. I suspect he is actually, is there a mastermind? How is he so accurate? Netizen C commented, Who cares? We made money. Brother Fuyu is my second dad. Slap. Huang Haitao was so angry his face turned purple. What is going on? What is happening? Xiao Liu, the accountant, stood with her head bowed and whispered, They say someone is dumping our shares at rock-bottom prices, buying them back, and dumping them again. Selling low? Are they insane? Huang Haitao yelled, Who would do something so destructive? I do not know. Xiao Liu shook her head. Huang, could it be that kid Shen Shun? Director Gu roared, glaring. It has to be him. I will kill him. Where is Shen Shun? Huang Haitao's eyes turned icy, a flash of murderous intent in his gaze. That punk dares to play me. Butler Lu, bring him to me. The butler bowed. Dump all our shares right now. Do not leave a single one. This kid is insane. Huang Haitao suddenly remembered they still held a mountain of worthless shell company stocks. If we do not sell them now, we will never recover. I already ordered the sale, but I am afraid. The accountant caught Huang's murderous glare and faltered. Afraid of what? Speak up. Spit it out right now. It is too late. The stock price has crashed by nearly half from its peak. The three bosses froze, unable to believe their ears. Director Huang quickly opened his computer and logged in. It was true. The stock price was cut in half. Can we set it slightly lower? Director Huang asked. No. The person crashing our stock is offering an even lower price. Nobody else in the market dares to buy these shares. Damn it! Veins bulged on Huang's forehead, his eyes bloodshot with rage. Where is Shen Shun? Tell him to get here. Boss, Mr. Shen says he is too busy and you must go see him. That arrogant bastard. Huang ground his teeth in rage. Let's go. Let's see what game this punk is playing. They stormed into the trading room. Shen Shun was sitting alone, casually clipping his nails, ignoring the screens. Shen Shun, do you have a death wish? Director Hugh, the hothead of the group, stormed over and flipped Shen's desk completely over. What is this for, Director Hu? Shen Shun asked with an innocent face. You know exactly what you did. Hu snapped, trembling with rage. You manipulated the stock. What is wrong with the stock? My monitor just broke. I have no idea what happened. You are dead. Furious at his denial, Hu threw a heavy punch at Shen's face. Shen snorted, raised his left arm, and easily blocked the hook. He instantly countered with a sharp right straight punch, hitting Hu square in the stomach. Hu stumbled back, clutching his stomach and gasping for air. They had no idea that in his past life, Shen Zun worked as a sparring partnera, human punching Bajvari Knight to make money. Fighting techniques were second nature to him now. Against anyone in his own weight class, Shen Zun was unbeatable. A pampered, out-of-shape 50-year-old like Hu, ruined by alcohol and smoke, was easy prey. Guards! Hu roared in desperation, but before he could finish, Shen Shun Shen lunged forward, grabbed Hu by the neck, slammed him down, and pinned him in a tight lock. Hu tried to growl a threat, but Shen tightened his grip. Hu shriekade inagwen. Shen Sun let go of old Hu. Standing by the door, Huang Haitao and Director Huang were shocked by Shen's brutal efficiency. Shen Sun, let's talk, Huang said, suppressing his rage. You know if you hurt him, you and your family won't survive the night. Threatening me? Shen's eyes turned lethal. 3 days ago, that would work. But not now, so you did ruin the stock price. Huang's face twitched. What did you do? What could I do? I was under your constant surveillance. How could I do anything? Shen laughed. You asked me to pump the stock, didn't I do that? Fine. Let's speak plainly, Huang said. He wanted to tear Shen apart, but he couldn't touch him now. Only Shen Shun could save them from this absolute disaster. They had poured 4 billion in cash into this. Now, with the stock cut in half, the total market value was down to 5 billion. But they only owned 70%, with the rest held by retail investors. This meant even if they sold everything, they would only get 3.5 billion. Out of 4 billion invested, they were losing 500 million. Worst of all, the stock was still tanking, and they had not even finished selling yet. To stop the bleeding, they needed Shen Sun to stop dumping the shares. But the bosses still held his family hostage, giving them enough leverage to negotiate. This standoff kept the scales perfectly balanced. Both sides had dirt on each other. Regardless of who won, this brutal war would end today. Since we both know the score, let's put our cards on the table, Huang said. What is your goal? My goal? What could I possibly want? Shen Shun smiled mysteriously. I do not understand you at all, Mr. Huang. Let me be blunt, Huang snapped, consumed by rage and panic. What will it take for you to stop? You want your family freed? Fine. I will release them. But you must stabilize the stock. Shen Shun sneered. When you kidnapped my parents, did you think this day would come? The fat on Huang's wrinkled face twitched, but he dared not move. The past was just a misunderstanding. Let us sit down and talk. Sit down and talk? Shen Zun glanced out the window. Your men are surrounding the building, right? So what do you want? Just then, Huang's phone rang. Shen smiled. What are you waiting for? Answer it. What if it is important? Huang narrowed his eyes. He threw the phone to Director Huang. You answer it. Tell me your terms, Shen Shun. Money, women, property. I can give you anything. Shen smiled and shook his head, then delivered a sharp chop to Hu's neck, knocking him out cold. Do you really think I care about those things, Mr. Huang? Shen clapped his hands, pulled over a chair, and sat down cross-legged. Let us not rush. Let us wait for him to finish the call. Huang turned to see his director's pale face. A dreadful feeling crept up Huang's spine. Director Huang hung up the phone, his face grim. One of our companies has plummeted to 1 yuan a share. The others are completely ruined. We sold less than half our stock. Our entire 4 billion investment is gone down the drain. Huang stood dazed. For the first time, he felt what it was like to fall from heaven to hell. In the 90s, 4 billion was over 2 years of their entire group's net profit. 4 billion could lease 5 kilometers of prime land in the center of Juzhou. It was their main capital. If this failed, the entire group would collapse. Huang's vision went black and he fell backward, completely overwhelmed. Luckily, Director Huang caught him. You win, Huang groaned. What do you want? He had to admit he had been played like a fool by this young man. Do you know what happens when you pump worthless companies and sell high? Shen sneered. It ruins lives. Countless innocent people commit suicide because of your greed. In his past life, Shen's own parents died this way. He knew the pain. He knew how greedy capitalists could destroy happy families in an instant. Shen refused to let that tragedy repeat itself, so he risked his life to fight these corrupt bosses. Ha! I did not expect you to be such a saint. Huang laughed on the floor. You think you are noble? You are a fool. Everyone is selfish and greedy. Why should I care if others go bankrupt? I cannot believe that a criminal who ruined the market can say this. Shen shook his head. Honestly, in a way, I almost admire your total lack of shame. Don't you realize your greed cost you 4 billion? Huang pushed Director Huang away, standing up shakily. He pointed at Shen Sun. You won this round, so you get to preach from your moral high ground. Say whatever you want. But what if I had won? I would be a legend in the history books, celebrated by the media. A general's success is built on 10,000 corpses. That is reality. Shen listened in silence, shaking his head. I do not deny that. But your methods are too sinister. I cannot agree, and neither will the law. A joke. I do not need the law. I am the law of Juzhou. Suddenly, a black pistol appeared in Huang's hand. Shen's heart tightened. This guy was desperate. Huang could not accept losing. He cocked the pistol, aiming it straight at Shen. Dropping his fake, gentle facade, he showed his true teeth. Without hesitating, he pulled the trigger to kill him on the spot. Bang! A pungent smell of gunpowder filled the room. Luckily, Shen had noticed Huang reaching behind his back. The moment he saw the gun, he dived behind the desk. The bullet struck right above Director Hu's head, 2 centimeters lower, and Hu's head would have been blown off. This guy was so ruthless he did not even care about his own men. Bury his parents at the villa, Huang roared, completely desperate. Hey, if you do not come out now, I am going to get killed. Shen yelled out the window. Huang grinned savagely. Too late to apologize. Even Jesus cannot save you today. Well, Huang, your words are useless here. We do not believe in Jesus. A clear female voice echoed from behind him. Huang turned, but someone grabbed his wrists. A sharp scream echoed through the villa. Who are you? Do you know who I am? I am Huang Haitao, the kingpin of Juzhou. The female officer easily disarmed him and casually tossed his gun away.